you want to be a part of the CoCo community? Sure, we all do. So join this free weekly live talk show to find out how easy it is to watch at home and learn about your color computer. At the CoCoNation, more than 9 million men and women have participated in the community without setting foot outside their homes. And now at home in your spare time, you can see what's happening, or even join the discussion. Choose from any one of these segments: panel intros, project updates, acquisitions, CoCo thoughts, featured interviews and events, the Game On Challenge, news, Ron's Garage, CoCo commercials, show coverage, panel goodbyes, or you can join one of our extra shows. You can choose from the Game On Challenge Live or CoCo Tech. Join the CoCoNation right now.
Click the link for the free information TJB Chris spoke about. Then decide if you want to watch the CoCoNation Live Show, the world's leading live weekly talk show featuring the Tandy Color computer, its siblings, cousins, and red-headed stepchildren. Visit thecoconation.com. There is no obligation and no salesman will visit you. Visit thecoconation.com.
The CoCoNation show is an unscripted, live, and interactive broadcast. Anything can and will happen. The views and opinions expressed by members of the panel and the live audience are their own, and not necessarily those of the CoCoNation show, its sponsors, affiliates, or subsidiaries. Open minds are encouraged, and a sense of humor is recommended. Thank you for being a part of the CoCoNation.
Radio Shack? Okay.
What?
The 80s called.
Welcome to the CoCoNation, the world's first live and interactive talk show featuring the Tandy color computer and its hardware cousins.
Yeah, hello everybody. Welcome to the CoCoNation show, episode 405. How we doing today?
Outstanding.
Pretty good.
All right. I want to hit
Hey,
the go
it's
button. It
spring.
went. Oh, that means all this pollen too.
We got a few days before that happens.
We just got a dump of snow.
Oh.
Yummy. We're going to be 95 on Sunday.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's a dry heat.
It fries your eyeballs just the same.
It's still too much heat.
Put it this way: your front yard is white rocks spread out, right?
Yeah, we don't have crap.
No.
Yeah. All right. In the panel today, we start off with Ron Deluxe.
Yeah, and it is a deluxe day.
All right.
Glad you're here.
Next over, yours truly, the button pusher. Then we got Sloopy Malibu
Hi, it's great to be back.
and Bob Emery.
Howdy, folks. Welcome to the show.
Out.
Yeah, we just
Oh,
We're back.
Hang on. Yep, network's still plugged in.
Mhm.
Ah,
got a wonderful
We just went to
desktop
Mark's.
shot.
We went to Mark's
Desktop.
desktop for a little
Yeah.
while.
Okay, I haven't
Yeah,
seen
okay,
There
I
it
think
goes.
we're back.
That's better. Yay.
oh, okay. Here's what happened.
What'd you
Take
do?
a look. Zoom update app updated.
In the middle of the broadcast. Ain't that a
nice.
peach?
Thank you, Zoom.
Does that mean I better update mine right now too, or?
I don't
It'll
know.
kick you off when the news starts. Don't worry.
Oh, this is, I guess, left over from last week. But one thing I noticed is that on my personal version, it doesn't even give you the option for check for update.
Ugh.
It's just not
Oh
even
no,
there.
it just does whatever the hell it wants when it wants to.
Yeah.
And
Terra
that's why
405.
that's why I like running it in Linux, because Linux doesn't let it do that.
That's the first time it's ever done that in the middle of a broadcast. Jeez, what's that about?
Sounds different.
All right, let's see. Let's try this again.
we have
Bob
to start
Emery.
over?
Hey, welcome back to the show.
All right, and next row we got Henry Gernhardt.
Hi, folks. Welcome to the CoCoNation. My name's Henry, and today I'm engaging in yet another one of my favorite retro hobbies.
All right, cool.
Ooh.
Photographing coffee cups? What was that?
Yeah.
No. This is a development tank. This has a roll of film in it that is sitting souped in Rodinol and should turn into.
So if you see him jump up down, it's time for agitation.
Oh no! This is stand developing, so I just let it sit there. I let it sit there and get cold, just like a cup of coffee. It can sit there for an hour, 2 hours, all day. It doesn't matter because the developer will exhaust before anything goes wrong.
Oh, sweet! You just
What is this letting coffee go cold mean? I don't understand.
Yeah,
It happens to some people in some cultures. Yes.
Well, we do like iced coffee in the summertime, so
You like
Yeah, but
iced
it
coffee
starts
all
cold.
the time.
Yeah, it doesn't grow cold; it starts cold.
Over here, it boils out of my cup.
Oh yeah, it starts cold and gets hotter. Is
Yeah. All right, and moving on.
And I just turned the audio on and the video on since it got shut off during our interruption.
Yay.
I think we're back where we're supposed to be.
Hi, it's
All right,
Ron
Welcome
DeLong.
back.
Next over, we've got Ron Wignut
Good afternoon, everybody. Good to be here.
and Rick Euland.
And to study in contrast in color and size.
Let's see. We got L Curtis Boyle.
I've got a long way to catch up here, don't I?
you better not even try.
What did that computer repair cost you?
Nothing. I actually, it turned out it was a very early system file, right when it first boots. It was causing it to spontaneously reboot all the time. And I did a network install boot from Apple servers and I actually got it back up and running. But I don't trust it because I don't know why that happened. So
Oh, right.
still waiting for the other one to come in. Might be the SSD starting to go.
Sounds like an official update.
Yeah, I did pound it pretty hard being a server for 6 years. So
Time to get
Oh,
into
and
it.
an SSD, yeah, you might be out of cell cycles there.
Yeah.
Backup cells, yeah. All right, next row we got Grant Leedy.
Hello, everybody. Who's ready for CoCoFEST?
Woo!
I'm not sure. Can we back it up another month? I need to get more ready.
A little more time.
Dude, you've got VFC East in a couple of weeks.
Exactly.
And next over we got Brian Wiesler
Hello, welcome to the show.
and Ken Waters
Hello, everybody.
and Alan, Exile in Paradise.
Howdy, howdy, everyone. Welcome to the show.
And last but not least, Kevin Holloway.
Oh, I'm here.
Okay.
Present.
In the chat, we got Kevin Holloway, Jim Rye, Michael Zwiffel, Sloopy, TJB Chris, Sixty, Mark Siegel, Tom Eric Gunderson, stop scrolling on me. Scott Cooper, Dr. Ted, CRT, Jim Rye, I already called him. Let's see. William Mathing, Brian Walsh, Frank S. And yep, he sees a Sloopy. And one of them in here is mentioning, oh yes, Michael Zwiffel. He's into film developing too. Okay. Alrighty, that's everybody. Okay, first up, let's go to Grant and give us an update on CoCoFEST.
Yep, just basically want to remind everybody we're getting down to the nitty gritty. We are down to the last 40 days of CoCoFEST. And according to the Tandy list, we have one last table left in the main hall, and then only thing will be left will be in the overflow rooms. Also, to remind everybody, the last day to book the hotel at the discounted rate is coming up in 2 weeks from Monday. So April 7th is the last day that you can book your hotel room at the group rate of $122 a night plus taxes.
They still have rooms?
Yep, they still have rooms.
This is the last CoCoFEST.
Well, we always say that, but it never is. So
it's the last CoCoFEST. It's the first penultimate CoCoFEST. It's complicated.
So also, we'll keep the registrations open until about a week before the show starts. So probably like the last week of April, we'll close down the registration because we have to give the number for the dinners and so forth like that. And also, we won't turn anybody away unless we completely sell out the overflow rooms. But as of right now, there's plenty of room in the overflow right now in the hallway. So t-shirts, we're working on that. Hopefully we'll get the t-shirts out within a week or two. But unfortunately, we hit a snag with the taxes and the EIN because they're wanting more information than they have wanted in the past. So hopefully we'll get that ironed out here pretty soon. And other than that,
a copyright strike on our designs.
Yeah, no problem with that. So, but other than that, just want to remind everybody we're getting down to nitty gritty. 40 days left. Also, if you want to give a presentation, we still have a few slots left, but not many. So we definitely did not have problems with people wanting to talk this year. So, in fact, we have several people who are giving 2 presentations, one on Friday and one on Saturday. So, which is cool. Also, make sure you check your closets and everything because we want to make sure we have a good auction. So. Make sure that you have anything you want to get rid of or just donate to us and we'll auction it off, and that helps keep the fest going on year after year. So other than that, that's about it for right now.
Grant, I'm sorry, I was slightly distracted. Did you say that the speaker schedule has been preliminarily put up?
No, it has not yet.
Oh, okay.
Probably will be putting that up here within a couple of weeks is what I'm looking at. So I'm pretty sure yours is going to be a Saturday talk. So.
All right. Awesome.
All right. Cool. Anything else? Any questions? Curtis, you coming or what's going on?
No, I'm not.
Oh. Well, this will be a great fest then without Curtis and the Canadians. So
We could set a CM8 on a table so you could do the Bob thing and just have your head down.
Yeah.
Well, who are we going to get to play guitar?
Rick.
Yeah.
I think we've established I can barely play anymore.
Or if Paul Thayer comes, he can play better than both of us combined. So
I can play the electric nose.
Well, at least we won't have any noise complaints now.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we will, because I don't know any pop mellow stuff. We would have to do more ZZ Top and big major bar chords.
With your beard, you would say CZ Top, wouldn't you?
Well, it's kind of what I grew up with.
And speaking of live shows, I could see Mark's got the video going from the show he's at.
Oh, cool.
Okay. Shall we bring him up?
One more thing too.
Nope.
I found this in our in one of our box of DVDs that discs.
In front of your face. In front of your face.
Yeah, your background has
Oh,
wiped
well,
out.
never mind. Anyways, it's a DVD of the first CoCoFEST. So I'm gonna look into that, and then maybe we can post that somewhere on one of the websites. So
that'd be fun.
Yeah.
If I was to bring a DVD player, should we have it like playing on a table on some sort of like a loop?
You know what? We could do that because I know it works. I've already played part of it, so on the computer. So we could definitely do that. Or a laptop with a DVD player in it too would work.
Yeah.
What dates are that?
Just rip.
I would have no idea. 33 years ago.
Oh, you mean the very first CoCoFEST from Rainbow Fest?
1991, yeah.
No, the CoCoFEST from Glenside.
Oh.
I'd go ahead and rip that so we don't wear the media playing it all day long.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
All right, let's see. MarkO, are you with us? Call it Mark.
You see camera.
Obviously streaming.
That camera's obviously sitting somewhere. He wandered off and left us sitting there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll catch up with him later. See, there's plenty of youth out there.
All right, they got him to work.
Looks like Mark got a seat.
Right.
Oh, okay.
It does look pretty busy though compared to the last time I think we saw a stream from there. It was actually a little bit empty. That looks pretty cool.
Again.
There's two ladies there. Isn't that unusual?
Yeah, that's broken the ratio altogether.
Yeah.
So there's three just in that one shot. What is she trying to do?
Playing a game, it looks like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if Mark comes back, he can come on and give us an update on how the show looks. Maybe pan around the room a bit.
All right. Brian, let's see what you got for us today.
Okay. Okay, switch cameras here. Got a couple magazines here. Let's see here. There we go. Spectrogram. I don't know if I've ever seen this one. Do any of you remember this one?
I have one issue, a different one than this one.
Yeah, this one here was issue. This is July 1986. I'm not sure when they got started. I hadn't had a chance to go look at. Should looked out on the archive there to see if maybe there's copies of this, but I hadn't checked yet. But I did get in the lot that I got. There was just 3 issues here. So this had been July. Here's August. And then they must have at least did it for a couple of years or whatever, because here's volume 2, issue 1 would have been in December.
And the one I have is none of those 3. So
okay. So
they spared no expense on the cover art.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it looks like a.
It's actually a good sized magazine though. It's about what is it, 70 to 100 pages or something like that? I can't remember now.
Yeah, this one here happens to be the one I have in my hand here is 84 pages.
Is it
But,
from Spectrum Projects?
No, it's who the hell did it? You'll have to look it up because I don't have my hand.
But I mean, they did have some.
What's on the front cover?
Yeah, it should be a publisher
Inside.
information inside front cover.
Yeah.
Publisher information.
Nope, just
Nope, ads.
just ads.
Okay.
So
The editorial, I think, will tell you who was behind it though.
But it does have a shiny cover. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
no, it's cardstock, the cover.
Yep, it's a heavier. Yep.
And that looks like 3-color spot printing. Is that green? And red?
Green, kind of a blue, and
Blue,
then kind of a I don't know,
Kind
a
of
dark,
black, yeah.
a dark,
Like a
not
maroon.
dark red, but whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Okay. So that's definitely spot color. That's not 4-color CMYK.
Right. No,
No, it's a pretty decent magazine. It's a good technical articles. If any of you have seen the Autobahn game that's on my game's website, that was a type-in from one of these, and it's a machine language game.
Autobahn or Autobahn?
Oh, sorry, Autobahn, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Brain fart. Stupid cold.
But some of this, though, I mean, but just by the quality of the print, it almost looks like it's a copy versus it was actually, whether it was, typeset, because like here, the fill on this just isn't very good. It's almost like it's a copy, almost like something.
By the way, the author of that article you just showed, the bouncing line, that's the same guy that wrote that Autobahn game.
Oh, okay. And then Bob Vanderpoel was in the previous article, so they had some good contributors.
Yep.
What year was that?
86 and 87.
Okay, so that would have been able to be DTP'd. It could very well be something akin to photocopying on the interior. Does it feel like bond paper? Does it feel like what's it feel like?
This here's definitely a thicker bond paper, but this here just seems like a regular stock.
Like a bond stock.
There's your copyright stuff, by the way, on the bottom of that page you're holding with your finger.
Oh, there you go. Tiny print. It must be it.
Like a bond, like your standard typing stock, or more along the lines of glossy
magazine print.
Magazine print.
It's dry paper. It's not the wax version.
It almost feels like 80 bound, like just regular copy paper almost.
Right, the 14 by 17 by 11 or whatever, and then you saddle staple it all together. And...
Yeah. In which case, that's probably what they did then. They did 11 by 17 prints and saddle stapled.
Rockford, Illinois, not far from Glenside, actually.
Okay. So on the bottom issue there was I guess a run through of a BBS. Whose BBS is that? Because we get a BBS show coming up soon.
Ooh. Say that again. Which page there?
On the bottom issue, on the bottom of your stack. Says it plus reviews. Look at dist directory and BBS test run. Which BBS is that?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Oh, I've seen that girl before.
Right?
Squirrel.
Let's see here. Reading through here. You guys see the page?
No. Okay. Oh, there's down the bottom. 43
in reviews.
Oh, here it is. Yep. 43.
Damn, I could read that.
The issue I have, by the way, is April 1987. That's where that Autobahn came from.
Okay. This BBS program, test programs.
Oh, okay. So they just took a BBS program and set up a temporary bulletin board. I was wondering if they were actually. I thought they had actually took a BBS that was out there and did a run through.
Oh, okay.
But they just set up a test one with some software to check the software out. Okay.
But yeah, they do have reviews of, it looks like different programs and stuff like that. Maybe some hardware.
So those pages look a little more glossy.
Yeah, we're
Yeah, that
talked all the
does.
way
Well,
through
yeah,
there, right?
this year was glossy, but the previous ones was just a regular, just your regular bond paper, or not
Yeah,
bond.
mine's
okay.
regular bond paper too. So
Yeah.
So
Either they
in
were
a,
doing better or they were using up their paper stock. One of the two.
So yeah. So I don't know. Like I said, I hadn't had a chance to go out there and look and see if there's other issues out there on the archive. But yeah, came across these. So
Nice.
let's see here. The next thing I was going to share. Set this out of the way.
oh nope, wrong one.
What's that?
Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Got a drive here, an ST 296N. Yep.
I'm not familiar with that one.
This would have been a SCSI drive.
Oh, okay.
And the reason for this is because like the Kenton SCSI controller, and also Disto had a SCSI interface, and did the what's the other one there? Curtis, the one you guys used, the
Eliminator? No, that was
the Eliminator didn't have SCSI. Okay, just okay. It's not SCSI. Okay, so I picked this drive up, and I wanted to get it just so I could have a SCSI drive. In the Kenton manual, it specifically points out this drive here. These don't seem to pop up on eBay too often, and some of them that do, they get kind of pricey. This one actually popped up for a fairly decent price, and it had the ribbon cable, and it also came with a an ISA Seagate card. So
I wonder if that card would work in with the Burke and Burke software. Like, how close does that card emulate a 506 controller?
No, it won't. I had that dream years ago, but no, it won't.
Okay. Like the command structure is different.
Yeah, it's specifically the WD 1000 whatever.
Yeah, it's 1002. Yeah, 1002
is what the Burke and Burke does, and that's
the protocol is totally different too. I mean, SCSI lets you have like 7 devices, whereas the old MFM RLL ones are hard coded for 2 with 1 bit, and
yeah, but OS9 can handle that.
The only thing I think when they started doing a TAPI, which covered CD-ROM drive stuff, that's when they started getting some SCSI like stuff added to it. But the original MFM drives are completely different protocol, different mapping, everything.
Okay. So yeah, so I got this drive for for one reason. Well, I got another purchase, so this drive is gonna actually kind of do double duty. So this maybe for some reason if I needed to use this drive to in a I'm not sure if this would work would this work in a Tandy 1000 or
if it's straight IDE,
it should.
Yeah, so I might be able to use it in there. But
that card looks like it's also set up to do like a hard card.
A hard card?
Yeah, like because you've got your power connector for a hard drive, you've got the extra mounting on the left side there for a bracket to hold a hard drive. You've got your power connector for now on the left side. You got a power connector that would feed.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, they could bolt more stuff on it, and
yeah, that's the same way they did the
and make an
controllers
XT
on a hard card. Yeah.
So like an XT hard drive where you didn't have a place to put a drive in the chassis anywhere.
Yeah, it'd have to be a 3-inch, obviously, but
right. I hate those things. Hard cards were the bane of my existence at one point.
So along the lines of with this card here. Let me just slide this out a picture just a little bit. I recently got this card. Let me zoom in a little bit here.
Here, see, that's Disto.
Oh, the little SCSI thing to fit in your
Yep. So this would this would be the Disto HD2 right here. So that would have worked with this. Either the Disto 1 or the Disto 2.
All right. But then you have to knock your block out of the side. Or is it already knocked out?
Yeah. This particular one is not.
Oh,
but
so
I do
it's
have
not done yet.
No. So I just brought this one out for demonstration purposes. So yeah. So inside here, inside the Disto, there's this. Let me hold it at an angle here. You can see this single row of pins right here. And
that was Tony's daughter card system for adding add-ons.
The MEB.
Yep. And on this card here, you can see right here. Right here is the corresponding. So this card, let's see. Let me get it positioned right here. I'm trying to hold it at an angle that you guys can see, but this would have gone on here like this. Oops. I'm holding it backwards, so it's right side for you guys, but backwards for me. But anyway, so this would have just came up here on like that, and then here's your 50 pin, which the ribbon cable.
Now, you don't really need a lock, eh? The case will
Right.
keep it locked on when you get
Right.
it all
So
together.
I noticed that this connector won't fit in here very well. So I don't know if you would have had to just maybe
But
brought
you
it over
put-
the edge right
you
here.
put
maybe?
no, I think you can fit the connector through, put it on the board, plug the board in, and you can cram it all together, and it all works.
Or you take the board out of the case, assemble it, and then slide the
Oh,
and
okay.
then put
whole
it. Yeah,
thing
it's
into
it's really futzy, but you can make it all work.
Yeah, because I was just looking here. At least the ribbon cable I have here, yeah, that opening is just barely. This might pinch just a little bit right here.
Yeah, but that would lock the connector in.
Well, and I remember seeing that done, so I know it can be done because.
Okay. I was thinking maybe it would have just came over the top because
that
here's
too,
pin one.
yeah.
Here's pin 1 on the ribbon cable, and this is pin 1 over here on this side, so it could sit in here about like this if you wanted it to. But the other nice thing about this, just back to the card here for a moment. So in addition to being the SCSI interface, this also has a 66 or a 6551. I'm sorry. So this does have a serial interface on it that is comparable to the RS2 the RS232 pack that we have. It's the same chip. Reading in the
That's
manual,
one of his 2-in-1s or 3-in-1s or 4-in-1s then? Or?
I think this one just came with it, but yeah, he does it. There is the 2-in-1 and 3-in-1 boards, which also would fit on the same way here.
Yeah, because it was a single board with multiple features. Like he had, I think his 4-in-1 had a real-time clock, the SCSI serial port, and maybe parallel port. I can't remember exactly what they all were, but.
And reading the manual, this is the same chip that like the RS232 has. The addressing is a little different. It's addressed, but it's capable of what they say like 2 megahertz speed. So that would be what I'm not sure what that equates to for baud rates. But yeah, so so you got the SCSI and the RS232, and as Rick was saying, yeah, you'd have to knock this out right here to give you access to where these would come out from the side. Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah,
That's all in a little package. I mean, you get the no-hold floppy controller with buffering, and then you get a card here that has the SCSI hard drive and an RS232 pack, so you don't even need a multi-pack to get all that functionality.
There we go. Now, let me hear. Sorry, this is such a weird angle. I can't wait till I get a different camera set up here, because I'm looking at the screen one way, but this is 90 degrees from where I'm at. So everything, my brain's my brain's working the wrong way. So, but could you use I'm assuming could you be running the hard disk and the floppy disk at the same time? I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, we ran the heck out of those things.
And the RS232, yeah.
And the RS232, yes. Okay.
I briefly had a 3-in-1 in mine. I can't remember what the 3 things were. It wasn't the hard drive though. I think it was the parallel, serial, and clock.
I have the clock on mine and parallel.
Here, let me just. I'm gonna set my mic on just for 1 second, guys.
So the question, if this was fully populated, what would we get? Because there's more stuff there.
Yeah, there's an empty chip socket.
And an output header that would fit into the knockout on the side. I don't have any of my Disto stuff handy.
My controller had the knockout on the side open.
Okay, I'm back here. So let's see here. I do have another one setting here that had a different board in it. I think this might have been the one that Curtis was referring to. Let's see here. Which one is this? This is the looking to see here. I think this just had the parallel interface on it. Well, this would have the real-time clock as well, because this has the
battery.
Yeah.
It has the battery, and you got this right here, which would come out the side. I think this would have been like your parallel.
Right, that's what I have.
Yeah, that'd be the parallel interface. I'm gonna set that one aside here.
And if you had your Disto schematic set, you could repopulate that board and turn it into a 4-in-1 or something, right?
Yeah.
That thing had a lot of chips that weren't.
You guys want to chat for a little bit here? I got one more here. Let me take the screws out of this bad boy here real quick, because this one here has a totally different board, and this might be either the 3-in-1 or the 4-in-1. Two more
Yeah, because the
screws.
Disto and the Eliminator were both kind of made so that people could get a pretty decent system for OS 9 and not need a multi-pack, which were starting to get a little bit rare and expensive at that point.
Okay, here, one more screw.
And the Discmaster, I think, also did, but that was hugely expensive. That was like $1,000.
I think I got four ROMs on mine, right? Yeah.
That's a Super Controller 1 then, if you get the 4 ROMs.
Yeah.
So that's a halting one. That's not an all like this one is. Yeah.
Then I have the shorter one, but
Yeah, it's mini.
Mini 2. Yeah.
Yeah, with a little switch on the bottom for your ROMs.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, so this would be a Disto 1. Now, this might be what Ron's referring to. So the one you just saw there was a controller 2. I'm trying to keep this one together because it has a
Yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, that's a Super Controller 1. 4 ROMs switchable.
Okay, let's see here. Bring this into view.
MBB.
So so this has this wire. I'm not sure what the wire is for, if it's the for some sort of, if it's
ground,
power or ground or something like that. But this here has the battery. It also, I think this is the serial interface here on this one. It also has this audio jack. I'm not sure if this is a power. I think this might have been power to give it extra power to operate the whole board. I think this is a power jack, not, whoops, right here.
Yeah, some of his more compressed designs with more things on it did have power, external power.
And then I think this also has the parallel. So I think this is the parallel. This would be serial. And then your real-time clock could be over in this area here. Here again is the 6551.
Yeah.
So this is referred to as the multi-board DC version 2. So
that's probably a 3-in-1 because the 4-in-1 added the SCSI, if I remember.
Okay.
Or SCSI or SCSI, one of the two.
Yeah, and I might have one of those. I'm not sure if I do or not, but the person that had this one here was quite worried about contacts, so they taped a whole bunch.
Yeah, my Birkenberg's like that too.
Like that previous Disto one, there is some squashing involved to get the screws in. So yeah,
well, and it's just held on by friction of here. I mean, there's no, they don't have any standoffs over here to where you'd put the board in place and then maybe put a pair of screws right there to hold it,
not a chance,
to hold it properly. But yeah.
Just out of curiosity, what DOSes does he have in there? CDOS was one that Disto themselves sold, but what else? He's got 3 in there.
Yeah, that was in ROM 0.
Let's see here. This one here says, well, this one's empty. This one's labeled as just CoCoDOS 1.1. CoCoDOS it says 4.0, 4.689.
Sure CDOS, so that's a later version of CDOS.
Okay, yeah, CDOS, I'm sorry, yep. And then this has CDOS version 1.2. Is what it says. Yeah, this is still 89, but
I don't remember.
Oh no, this is okay. This is 4.0. 4.0. This is the date, April 6th, 89. This one's March 30th, 89.
Oh, okay.
So okay.
I wonder if there's compatibility problems between the older and newer versions, or maybe CoCo 1.2 versus CoCo 3 or something.
Right. Those aren't very far apart to have both of them.
I mean, the first line of each of the ROMs say one says CoCo 2, the other says CoCo 3.
I had an ADOS ROM in my second.
222.
Oh yeah, so that is right then. Yeah, CoCo 2 compatible DOS and then CoCo 3 enhanced.
Oh, nice.
Now this one doesn't have a switch, so would you have to do some sort of a command to get it to reboot? It would reboot back up under whatever that you need.
You remember, Ron? I never had a 4 DOS one.
You just select. Yeah, how did I do that? There's no, couldn't be a switch because now you have to EXCC and HC00 maybe, if I remember.
Yeah, I don't see any jumpers on there either. So
yeah, I mean there's just one pin right here, but yeah, there's no
well,
jumpers.
There's actually a disc that comes with it that has a utility to switch ROMs. That's what I do.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Then then you type DOS 0, DOS 1, DOS 2, DOS 3.
Okay.
And it uses the, and you could put that on whatever other utility disk you want the program to run it.
Very good.
Set DOS, it might say on the disk.
Okay.
One thing I did though was make lots of copies of that floppy.
So the only other little thing that I did get, a month or so ago, I was showing the Super Sprite board, and I was trying to get audio, and I was trying to rig up something, but I did pick up this little thing here, so I'm kind of hoping this might help me. So this is it has the SCART on one side, and then the male version on the other side. So my intent here is to plug this in between the SCART to HDMI adapter, and then the cable that comes from the Super Sprite board. And because a couple of these lines is your video and everything else, and so I was trying to tap into it. But what this will do is I can get the composite, or I can get the S video, or I can get the left and right audio. Well, in this case,
this breaks it out a little bit.
Yeah, this is just kind of a little breakout in between the two. So I'm kind of hoping that if I plug this in, then I can hopefully maybe plug some speakers or some sort of a audio capture and get a better quality, because the quality was just horrible. I'm trying to see it so that way I can, when we get ready to play some of this, play some music or whatever through the different sound chips, that I can get some good quality out of it.
You might get some better quality as an external extra monitor. Isn't that an S video beneath your thumb there?
I believe it might be. It says video next to it, so this would be.
So if you wanted to tap in, unless that's an input, you might be able to do a secondary screen or something.
You potentially could. Well, not really necessarily a second screen. It would be the same video that's being sent.
No, I just meant like another monitor, but with a better quality one if it's using S video than composite.
Oh, I see.
The composite.
Possible.
Yeah.
What's the switch designate? What's the labeling?
It's either input or output, so you just set which direction things are going.
Okay.
Oh, I'm guessing what that does. Yeah, because the audio's in line in the SCART connection. Are you pulling off of the input, or are you feeding audio in to go onto your monitor?
Yeah, I think whether it's the video's coming in this direction or the video's going in this direction, or
that wouldn't work, really, wouldn't it?
Yep. So.
Oh, I guess it would. Yeah.
Because the CoCo 3 doesn't send audio out the connector in the bottom.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
I think there's audio on the RGB. Yeah,
that's what makes
your CMA has a built-in
make
speaker.
Make noise.
You only plug the RGB connector there, so.
Yep. So I'm hoping to basically put it like this is the intent. I mean, it was not going to be a switcheroo; it'd be the cable coming from the other. But the idea is that it would fit in here like this. I'm gonna have to fiddle with that plug
right,
a
with
bit.
a little modification.
Yep. Like this is what I'm hoping for.
Or you could put it on the other end, like you say, if that's what that flippy switch does. You can
Yep.
put it on the monitor end and still get your connection.
Yep.
Which
So-
might be easier to get to than right there behind the CoCo where that thing's at.
Right.
Maybe,
You never
maybe
know,
Coco
right?
Man has worked with that. And you could ask him.
He might have. I mean, he does have a couple different cables out there, so. But
That's an interesting thing, though, because I know SCART has all these things available, but it's such a pain to get to them. But that little box there is really nice.
Another thing, Brian, my 4-ROM Disto thing didn't have any silk screen on it, so it might have been early.
oh, okay. Oh, it doesn't have the.
No silk screen; it's just white.
Oh, okay.
No, none at all.
Oh, just as a real quick side note, I was going to ask. Alan and I were talking about this earlier, and I was kind of curious to see what Rick Euland's input would be on this, because he was kind of in on it. Back to the camera real quick here for me. Sorry. So, like these cartridges and the other ROM cartridges that Radio Shack would have had, what's your theory? Did Radio Shack thumb through some sort of an industry catalog and found that this size worked well, so they designed the color computer as far as the ROM cartridge to this form factor? Meaning, I mean, companies weren't out there making cases like this for the color computer. Did they build the opening on the ROM cartridge to fit some sort of industry standard? Like they found a cartridge out there, whether it's a plastic molded cartridge or these metal ones. And so was the color computer designed to accommodate this form factor?
Right. I'm going to say from the struggle that everyone had with boxing and packaging, no. Tandy made their thing. You'll notice that Disto thing there is a very low unit pressed in screw fittings that
Yep.
was made by a
Yes.
little shop somewhere. I don't see much evidence other than what Tandy had made and what other major people made. It was a
Well, I mean-
struggle. I mean, you look at Chris Burke's stuff.
Right.
He
I mean, 'cause
struggled
so
mightily to make cases.
you know, so Tandy had these injection molded ones, right?
But that's the only place you'll see those nice ones is Tandy.
Right. Because
so-
there's this, you know, there
so-
was this manufacturer that you know that made these.
But that was they used to call it blow molding. Now it's vacuum injection or whatever.
Right.
But
But
it's
it-
just handmade.
Right, but you can even see here where Spectrum, you know, they had a version of a cartridge that was similar.
Right.
Similar
So
to the Radio Shack. The Radio Shack ones had the little dimples right
Right.
here so you get your hands on them, where
The
this was
Spectrum one's impressive.
Right.
you know, it's smooth. But
Well-
anyway, so I guess I just, you know, I guess what I'm thinking is, you know, which came first, you know, the chicken or the egg type of thing. So I didn't.
Mark Siegel in the chat saying it's an art Radio Shack design.
So Radio Shack designed they designed it, and then people built cases.
Copied
to,
it best they could. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, very good. I was just curious. I wasn't sure. I was like, you know, what, you know, who did what. So okay.
Because that was always the struggle. You could get the circuit board made, you could have the electronics working perfectly, but then you needed a box to put it in.
Right.
If you're if you were dealing with sheet metal, like it looked like that Disto box may have been a sheet metal unit. And if
It is metal.
Yeah,
Yep,
sheet metal is easy to use a bending brake on. So you know.
Well, yeah, it's bent and then it has the pressed in nut fittings.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
That's easy to do. At scale, that's easy to do.
That's why Disto had CRC make his stuff, because
Yeah.
he needed a manufacturing capability like that.
And
Someone
it's
like
easier,
to punch out a few hundred of them.
Yeah, it's going to be easier to punch out a few hundred of those metal cases than it is to set up an injection molding line.
Well, I know when John Linville got his orange injection molded cases, that was not cheap. He had to order quite a few of them to make it even, you know, somewhat worthwhile to do.
And that was with today's modern,
right,
easy, cheap injection molding processes. Not.
How about those black ones that are made by who was that? Can't think of the
You
name.
mean the 3D print ones like John Strong?
No, they're black metal. And some had two ROMs.
Oh, the
J&M.
J&M
J&M,
controller.
yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
have a
they were similar design to these Distos, where they were the flat metal with two screws on the side, each side.
I made punch outs too because they had the parallel port on the side and stuff on some of their models too.
So, okay, that's all I got to share with you guys.
Okay. Cool.
Hey, Mark Overholzer, if you're listening, I see you said in the chat here, it's noisy here and don't want to hear all the chatter. Ah, sure we do. Have you watched our show? There's chatter going across it all the time. And if you hold the the microphone part, I'm assuming you're using your phone fairly close to your mouth while you're wandering around, you should be able to pick up you more than the chatter.
So in
Assuming
the
he's
chat,
listening.
Mark Siegel is saying that that was his design for the red case.
Oh, the one that John used.
Hmm.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, he probably got the schematic for it to make sure it was exact right match to the Tandy ones.
All right, let me find where Mark went. Ah, wrong button. Is Mark around, or are we just?
I don't know. He mentioned the chat there that he didn't want us to hear all the chatter, but I don't care.
I think we just got the stationary camera though. Paging Mr. Overholzer.
I don't know how much of a delay he's on if he's on Wi-Fi, though. He might be like 20, 30 seconds behind.
Only if he's watching it on YouTube. Oh.
Paging MarkO. Paging MarkO.
All right. I have to keep an eye on the camera. If it starts moving, then we can.
Just for grins, we can go ahead and bring it up.
That almost looks like Scott Wendt there. From what I faintly remember seeing him. I don't think it is, but.
Not even pointing it at a Coco, is he?
Right. He should point it to the left to get the room. feeling all the people.
Yeah, he's
over on
highlighting the
left.
picture on the wall, whatever that is.
Right.
Tree.
Is this the Portland show or is this the that he's at? What's this?
Yeah, it's the one that was supposed to be VCF Northwest, and then after COVID, it got canceled. They're trying to bring it back. It's called ICF now, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I already removed it from the news because it was actually live this weekend, so I didn't expect anybody to watch the show and then run down real quick. So,
Oh, right.
well, if Mark ever comes back, we'll switch over to him.
Well, Mark's in the chat. He just said the guy in the black shirt is Scott Wendt.
Yeah, Scott Wendt. Okay, I was right then. So take us on a tour, Mark. Don't worry about the noise.
Right. What are these? All these non-male beings that are walking by.
Yeah, because even when you don't get audio, I wouldn't mind seeing what else is on display.
Right. Right. We know there's an iMac. Other than that.
The Medusa.
Oh, we know
table.
Scott's there. He's an active Discorder on the Coco Discord.
If we only had a drone.
Hey, hear that, David lad? Drone for CoCoFEST, David? No, Grant.
Yeah, sure. We'll get a drone for CoCoFEST. You want to buy one?
You want an armed model or a regular one?
Right. I'll help fly it.
Flamethrower.
You know, those ones you actually get to sit in and fly around.
Just sharpen the propellers. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell you what, since we're coming up on the top of the hour, do we want to?
Yeah, I'll go to commercial, and maybe
commercial
by the
break?
time we're back, Mark might have got our question to him filtered down so we can take us on a quick tour.
Or someone
Sound or no
steal his
sound?
camera.
Okay. Here we go.
Hey, Amy. Hey, Taylor. We're watching the CoCoNation show. Yeah, we are. Woo! You should too.
Hello everyone, it's your good buddy, your good pal Amigo, and joined by that dastardly The Brent from ARG Presents.
You're watching CoCoNation.
I feel like that should have been longer.
The CoCoNation show would like to thank the following patrons. AC's 8-Bit Zone, Alex Gare, Alan Huffman, Brendan Donahue, Brian Walsh, Brian Wiesler, Kieran Anscombe, Coconut Bob, Daddy Burrito, David Ladd, Derek Smithson, Diego BF109, Don Barber, Eric Canales, Frederick Sigard, Glenn Hewlett, Graham Wapke, Grant Leedy, Henry Gernhardt, Henry Strickland, Jason Warrens, Jim Mullis, Jeffrey Drywater, Justin Larson, Ken Reichard, Patrick Euland, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, R. Allen Murphy, Retro Tech Time, Richard Harding, Rob Inman, Rocky Hill, Steve Batson, TJB Chris, Tom C., Tom Gunderson, Tom S., and William Athing. Thank you so much, patrons. If you would like to support the CoCoNation show, sign up at patreon.thecoconation.com. Okay, and we're back. No new to Discords this week.
I think one came in just a little bit too late.
So, have we made connection with Mark yet? Apparently not. All right. Well, Ken, are you ready for the Game On Challenge?
Wait, what? I have to do the Game On Challenge this week?
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Nobody told me that.
Okay.
Well,
We're ready
Sloopy
for the
appears to
news.
have. Oh no, Sloopy's still there. I guess he can help you with it.
Yes, we've seen the Sloopy Malibu.
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, then here we go.
The show this week.
Welcome everybody to the CoCoNation Game On Challenge of the Week results video. This week we played Boris the Bold. We had a total of 14 players. We had Mark B with 38, Sloopy Malibu with 46, Retro Rick 84, Just Mike 144, Ed Rhodes 342, Canadian Retro Things 373, Damon Beals 483. Tied for 6th, we had Coconut Bob and Jim Rye with 536. 8 Bits in the Basement, 616. Mike Zweifel, 624. L Curtis Boyle, 741. Tasman, 1291. And this week's number 1 score belongs to Dr. Ted with 1554. Thanks everybody for trying this game out. I guess we will see you again next week.
And the CoCoNation salutes Dr. Ted.
Salute! Okay, well, just as proof of how completely random getting a score in that game is, and how random it is for dying and everything, when I was filming the little bit that I show at the beginning of the video after I had already done the high score list, I almost beat Dr. Ted's score. Just a random game where it was just I hit a whole, like about 5 diamonds in a row going in one of the levels. So it's a stupidly random game.
Yep, I will agree.
So I found one review for it, and I don't think I've actually ever seen a review that hits the nail on the head better than this one. This is in Dragon User December 1984. So he starts off talking about the game plays well, the response is good, the graphics move smoothly, and the sound is the best he's heard on any Dragon game. However, the program has several blemishes. So something that I did notice, but I never even thought about, was that scores and lives are zeroed for a second when it switches screens, which is, as he says, this just shows a bad programming technique. I'm not even sure why it would even do that, but... And then there's the energy bursts, which are the gas clouds, basically, that appear randomly. They remove 50% of the skill in the game. There's no way to avoid them or to predict where they're going to appear. And basically he says it's a very good game, marred by basic design faults. Proof that a game like this, a simple concept, can be a really good one if you don't have those basic design faults in it.
Yeah, I think we talked about that on the live stream too. That
yeah,
there's a gem of a good game in here. It's just it's too random, especially with the deaths, and too random with a bunch of other things too. It's just it's like, you know, doing those random number guessing games we all did in BASIC as one of our first BASIC programs.
Yep, and oh boy, I have a list. So there's the gas clouds. They are horrible. Like it said in the review, there's no way to predict where they're going to happen. Like, well, they happen in certain spots, but there's no way to predict when they're going to happen. So it's just a random death. And the timer is too short. Like, you don't have any time to actually go up and down levels to try to collect the diamonds. You just have to, if the diamonds are there, within your path, you can grab them, but you can't actually go out of your way to get any of them. You'll run out of time. The other big thing is that it's really annoying that your character is so slow that you can't get away from, like, you can see that, like, I'm gonna die in 3 seconds because I can try and walk away from this thing, but then I'm gonna fall down and I'm gonna land perfectly on top of that one below me, and I can't go fast enough to do it. I can try using that stupid warp thing, but about as Coconut Bob said, about 90% of the time when you use the warp, it lands you directly on the enemy you're trying to get away from. So it's a useless thing.
Yep. But the only thing semi-reliable was going up a level.
Yeah.
But if there's another monster coming that way, then too bad.
Yeah, well, and that's the problem. If you do have to go up a level to get out of the way of a monster, you're pretty much guaranteed you're going to run out of time. So,
yeah, it's a game that could have been good.
Yeah, it's definitely it's got the gem of a good game hidden inside of a big pile of crap.
A big pile of random crap.
Yeah.
Or crappy random, if you want to word it that way.
So is the author still around and open to suggestions?
I have no idea. I wouldn't be surprised if he got lynched after releasing this in the UK. So no, I'm just kidding.
However, on the plus side, this was a game that cost £1.99. So
yeah, it was cheap.
Oh, okay.
The cost of a magazine, basically.
And it was still a pound too much.
It was fun for the first little bit, but then the frustration of you have a decent game and then the next game you score 0 points because you just randomly died in really stupid situations. Like,
see, I hadn't played it for a long time before the Game On Challenge, so I came on and I played it. My very first score was like 590 or something like that.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, this isn't that bad. I don't know why you guys are sucking at it. And then the randomness started to hit me. And then I got a 0 and yeah.
That's the thing, is that, like, I played it, I don't know how many times over the 2 weeks, and every time I never scored anything higher than 300 or something, because I just randomly kept dying. And then last night, I play it, and I get a game where I scored like 1,150. So
yeah.
Nice.
Now, with some tweaks, it would be a good game.
Yeah.
We
The
don't
problem
know.
is... Oh, go ahead, Patrick.
I was just saying he was just blubbering in the corner. RNG, RNG.
I think the other thing is that you don't get any of your points until you actually complete the level, where it should have.
Yeah,
been
you could pick up
accumulating points.
diamonds and dodge monsters all the way down the last level. Die there, you got 0.
Yeah.
That's just wrong.
Which is just another thing that adds to why it's so stupid to have such a short timer. Like, if you're going to make it so that you have to get through the level to score any points whatsoever, then get rid of the timer, because...
Yeah, or use a timer as a bonus. Like if you get it done in
Yeah.
less than the timer runs out, you get bonus points. And if you run out of time, you can still play, but you don't get any bonus. Would have been
I
smarter.
think you did get bonus points on the timer.
Yeah, you got a few
Yeah, you
bonus
do,
points
but
on
you
the
also
timer,
die
but
if the timer runs
you
out.
also die if
Right.
it runs out, yeah. One of the many ways to die.
Yeah.
Actually, you know that more modern game on phones that's quite popular called Dumb Ways to Die? This kind of reminds me. This must be the predecessor.
Oh, right.
Yeah, most people are, well, like Michael Zwiffel is saying, I stopped playing after I got my high score, so...
I should have. I'm still
Yeah.
suffering from the mental anguish of not doing that. Dr. Ted says, usually in games like this, you have more time in the early stages and less as the game goes on. It's weird. And he also
Yeah,
says the
it-
weird thing is the first stage, you have to book it up to the bottom, or book it down, I guess. But in later stages, you have plenty of time to grab gems. I
Yeah.
didn't notice that. It
Well,
did
you
got a
get
little bit better, but
every level you go up, you got an additional 5 seconds on the timer,
oh, okay.
which is still
I was too
pretty
busy
short.
randomly dying to notice, I guess.
And then, as actually Dr. Ted was pointing out, which is one of the really stupid things, I think it's around stage 5, you start out, and there's a monster like right in front of you that's moving towards you that you can't get out of the way of. So you have to immediately warp, and about 60, 70, 80% of the time that I got to that level, I would immediately warp, and it would put me right on one of the monsters
Yeah.
and kill me. So it's either die by not warping or die by warping. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I only
He
played
says,
games.
oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Sloopy.
Yeah, I only played a few games, and I went to play something easier, like well, I won't.
Neutroid.
I'll be with you on this one. I will play Neutroid before I'll play this one again.
Yeah.
Wow.
I agree.
Hi, Nick.
Wow. Can I get that in writing?
Sorry, I just woke up. I heard the word neutral and I just woke up.
He popped up.
Well, congratulations, Nick. We found something worse than Neutroid.
Yeah.
Impossible, right?
No, Impossible is a different game that's really hard.
So
one we have
Nick,
not covered on the challenge yet.
take Boris and merge it with Neutroid and release that.
Oh no.
A mashup.
Bortroid.
Actually, if you took Boris, got rid of the random gas clouds, and put more time on the timer, or made the timer just something that would give you bonus
Just give you
points and
bonus
not
points.
kill you, then this would be probably a pretty good game.
Yeah, it's like Neutroid. Like the original Coco release of Neutroid had a bunch of problems because it wasn't as close to the Model 1 3 version. And when Nick went through several iterations later, now it's good. Same thing. Like it just needed some tweaking. Like the base concept's there and it's fine, but the implementation wasn't as good for gameplay as it could have been.
Or you could just have it so that the countdown timer goes down, and when it runs out, that's when it does random gas clouds.
Yeah, even something like you could do that.
Okay, my contribution: if you hit a diamond, you get more time.
And how about some points when you get a diamond, even if you don't make it to the end of the level?
And then there's also the lasers, but they were never a really big problem. The only time, like there's 3 levels that had lasers, and they would shoot at you if you stood there for too long, which you could use. Those levels, you could actually use that to your advantage and stand there, and if the laser was firing from the one side, it would kill the monster on the level for you. So there's one tip.
So where is this author guy? He's got work to do.
Yeah. Kieran, do you know who wrote this? Are you in the chat?
I think it's on the title screen, isn't it?
It probably is, but I
Might be on my
don't think
site.
I
Then.
know them.
I just remember it was by Blabby or Blaby, or however you pronounce it. I remember Kieran last week though. He mentioned that he wasn't a big fan of the game either, and he grew up with these impossible UK games.
Yeah, there's Impossible, and then there's Boris.
Yeah. I think Dr. Ted sums it up nicely. He says, but yeah, there's a nice game under a few crushingly bad game design decisions.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Dyson. So I think he's the guy that went on to make all the Dyson vacuum cleaners.
Yeah, there you go.
So he's probably not going to want to come back and fix this game.
So he's used to making things that suck.
Right.
I see what you did there.
Well, you could
tips and tricks.
Well,
you gave
as I
one,
said,
Ken.
Yeah, that's the only one. Otherwise, just you're going to randomly die. That's all there is to say about it.
So it really is.
You can
don't
go up
die.
a level. That's at least somewhat predictable. That's the one thing you can do to get away from things.
Yeah.
So that sometimes helps. Trying to time so that if you got monsters not too far from you, but if you got a row where the openings in the platform are going to line up, you could just fall through a couple of them. Be careful on that too, because that can be a curse. Because you're planning to go down one level, so you're down 2, and you hit right on something.
Yep, that happened to me many, many times, and that's one of the problems with not being able to move very quickly. You can't get away from stuff like that.
Yeah, like you can't jump. Like even if you could jump the opening of the platform, that would have been a nice mechanic.
I would jump up a level, and then the hole would be there to drop me right back down on the thing I was getting away from.
Dr. Ted's recommendation is give yourself 10 seconds to get to the exit. I died a ton being greedy and then running out of time.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is that the timer is very short to get to the bottom. But as you said, as you go on further levels, it's less time that you have to worry. Like you have more time, so you don't have to worry as much. But you also got more monsters and stuff to avoid. So.
And 60 says, I don't recognize the name, meaning the name of the author. He says, yeah, I can't say this one really grabs me. That's a very polite way of putting it.
Yeah, but it grabbed me and smacked me around.
Just the way you like it.
Kinky.
Yeah, I don't think it's too much more to say about that one.
All right. Well, so I guess we can put Boris to bed forever because we're probably not going to ever find the author, and I don't think anybody wants to revisit this and try and fix it.
I don't.
Maybe somebody out there that makes games could just create a whole new version that's makes sense.
Well, then it would just be jumping Joey in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
But with gas clouds.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ken, you're not supposed to sniff the gas clouds. They're gas clouds. They're not air fresheners.
I mean, was it me or was the gas cloud always showing up behind you?
No, I lit right into me quite a few times.
Interesting concept. A character that farts.
That's Outhouse. That's a different game.
So I like the 60s
Generating-
comments there. This game might have suffered from author's difficulty curve. The guy that wrote it got too good at playing it, so he made it harder and harder and harder. Or maybe they were just trying to torment a sibling.
Yeah, that does prey on game developers. I've seen Nick sometimes going, "Oh, this is too easy. I got to make this harder." I'm going, "You're not thinking like a normal person trying to play this game."
Yeah.
Right.
That's why nobody got past level 2 of Gunstar, Nick, until you change the level order. But that's a very real thing. If you're a game developer, is you have to, like, you're playing it so much, and you know the intricacies of how the code works. You know what's going to happen, that you kind of not think like a normal player doesn't know any of this stuff. Unless you're Buck Owens, in which case you might. Yeah, like Buck Owens would probably be a bad example of tester because he is really good at that kind of stuff, and he thinks like a programmer, so he kind of picks that stuff up pretty easy. But
no, he would be a good data point. He would be the good gamer that doesn't know the game.
yeah,
That's a good data
but you
point,
need
yeah.
the average gamer too. That
and the average guy.
Yeah,
and then the programmer's going to be off the chart up here somewhere because he not only did he play it a lot, but he wrote it for what he enjoys, which means what he's good at, which means what I'm not good at. Worst fit algorithm, I think they called it at Microsoft.
Uh-oh.
What?
A Commercialism.
Curtis ran away.
Yes, he's chasing a cat or something's chasing him or...
We've lost Curtis.
And what's this guy doing? Oh, well.
He's going to grab the camera.
Actually, what he was doing was he was trying to show us all of the passcode for his phone.
Yeah.
So Curtis is 404 again.
Oh, no, Curtis is back.
Yeah, I see him back, but still, I wanted him to hear it.
What? Sorry. I heard some banging
ran
around.
away
I had to
all
go
of a
check.
sudden.
Yeah, no, I had to go check. There was some banging. I didn't know what it was. Thought one of the cats maybe dumped something over.
Out of the way, it'll
just,
still be there.
Just somebody trying to break into your house.
They're welcome.
Right. They're
breaking in this too.
Why did we do this?
The cats will greet them.
Yeah. Oh, look, a new scratching post. That's what they'd say.
Entertain the uninvited guests.
Right.
Did Mark respawn? Is he going to take us on a bit of a walk around, or?
I don't know. We were just watching some guy text on his phone.
Yeah, he's ignoring us.
He said that after a game on, he should be ready. He said it.
Oh, okay.
in the chat a little while ago.
Okay, well, we've got more
let's
game on to
continue with
cover.
Game
So
On then. All right, so the other game that we played, because I'm not going to talk about Boris ever again.
Thank you.
Except maybe to make fun of it in the future. So the other game was Neuras, which is a Inafuto game. So this is kind of like a weird version of Memory.
Mixed with a little bit of Pac-Man, sort of.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So you got to run around the screen, pick up cards, and throw them at its corresponding card.
Matching card, yeah. Matching pair.
So a couple things to note about it. When you do pick up a card, you can see what card you're carrying in the top corner of the screen. And if you throw a card at the monster, it will stun it temporarily, and you can walk over that monster. So,
yeah.
Other than that,
the key strategy is trying to get especially in later levels, trying to get the cards in the right order. Because as soon as you pick one up, you're carrying it until you throw it somewhere. So you sometimes have to go into a weird corner, pick up a card, and throw it somewhere because you can't. You have too short of a hallway to actually turn around and fire the card. So it does take a bit of pre-planning on the later stages. You kind of have to kind of sort of semi-memorize, like, okay, my ace is over here, my 3's over here, my 7's over here. So if I find the matching one, that's where I got to go. And you get multiple monsters on later levels too, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, you also have to take into consideration when you're getting into the higher levels where things are not like well lined up. They actually the cards have to be like right next to each other
on the same plane. They have to be
on the same plane,
same level. Yeah,
either horizontally, vertically. But you also have the issue of when you're hitting a monster, they have to be entirely within that plane. So if they're just coming up,
it'll go through them and not stun them.
Yeah, it won't hit them.
I even had where two monsters were right over top of each other, so I threw the card, stun one, thinking, okay, well, I can walk through him now. But then the other monster came out from behind him, and bang, I was dead.
So,
I just like
that's
monsters are not invisible.
Yeah, like the last Inafudo game we played.
Mm-hmm.
And this is an older one too. This one I think I remember came out originally in 2021. And then
like
2022
or
something.
It's one
for
of his early version ones, So.
And then the CoCo 3 version was a full year later because that's when he added the CoCo 3 to the main engine for Kate, the compiler he uses.
But
I'm assuming it's I don't know.
It's quite interesting. Like he's up to around 116 or so different machines that he releases each game for at a maximum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the MC10 is regular now. The Model 1 and 3, Model 100.
Some of the games he's not releasing on the small screen computers because they just don't work. But
yeah, they don't translate well.
Yeah, so I don't know tips and tricks for this game other than kind of it's a memory game. You have to, and I think it doesn't change from game to game where the cards are. So once you
if you memorize them, you memorize them. Yeah,
it changed for me.
Well,
are you sure?
No.
Were you smoking the wacky tobacco and your short-term memory loss started kicking in? That's what I'm wondering here.
Changed for me, man.
I think that they did because like when I was in a level and when it reset because I died, I went back to the same card and it was a different card because I was like, oh good, I know where they are. But I mean, I
didn't hit that at all.
Going off the deep end.
Well, we're going to have to pay a little closer attention. I mean, so far we've got two that say that it doesn't change and one that says it does. So we'll find out next week.
And the one's wrong, obviously. But
I wonder if the match for a card is always in the same place. Even though the card may change, maybe the match for it is in the same place. Let's check that out too.
Yeah, you're getting complicated, man.
Yeah, you're just you're just messing with my mind, man.
Yeah, it could be me because my short-term memory has been horrible since last July. So.
Well, I mean, the advantage of that is that a game like this is a new experience every time.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, look, it's a brand new game. He'll even like Boris again the first time.
Just think of it this way, Sloopy, with a bad short-term memory, every time you play Neutroid, you've discovered the best game for you.
What's this Neutroid?
That explains a lot, actually.
You should try it.
Neutroid?
You'd probably like it. Try it. I think you'd like it.
It's Nick Morenni's latest.
All right, I'll try Neutroid when I'm done playing this.
All right, so shall we move on to the live Thursday night show?
Absolutely.
And I just have to find it here. Here we go. And I will let Sloopy talk about this.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we had a great week. We had, 6 people playing at one time? I think 6.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 there. Yep.
Yeah. In past weeks, we've had 7 or 8, but...
See, just to interrupt you for a second, we've got 6 people playing, but 8 people there, so...
Yeah. Yeah, we're looking at you, who is
Wingnut.
Wingnut, and...
I don't know who else wasn't playing at this point.
I was too tired to play. I was just watching from the couch.
Slacker.
Last week.
I think the thing is that people were still recovering from St. Patrick's Day, so that's why they weren't
Yeah.
there.
Or they tried playing Boris the Bold for the first 2 minutes of the stream, and then went into
Knocked him right out.
shock or something.
They were just hugging themselves in the corner.
Yeah, Boris.
Boris the Bold. Boris the Bold.
Slowly rocking back and forth.
Yeah. So, but yeah, a lot of fun was had. A lot of people played Neuras, and they played Jumping Joey, and they played other games too. And a couple were quite bold and played Boris, but not many. It was a great time.
Yeah, for those who don't know, the Coco 3 version of Neuras is up on the Discord if you want to download. I made a disc with both versions on it because the Color Computer Archive only has the Coco 1 and 2 version.
Yeah, the having the both versions in a disc was quite nice. So
Yeah.
I thank you for those conversions.
I don't know if you want to drag the video forward because I think I played the Coco 3 version. People haven't seen it.
Yeah, you did. So I was looking at it and I was like, "Ooh, the Coco 3 version looks nice."
And it's set up to be composite, just to warn you. I mean, you can play in RGB, obviously, then you get nice pink things, but...
Yeah, I didn't play it on other systems, though, which I probably should have. Maybe I can do it this week.
I would also like to remind people that you can play this Neuras on the MC10 if you want.
Is it also available for the Model 100?
I didn't check if that one was there on this particular game.
Actually, yeah. I guess if it's available for the Model 100, we'll even accept scores from there.
Maybe I'll have to figure out how to get it onto my Model 100 and try it out.
Just play it on an emulator.
On a what? It's bad enough I use an emulator for my Coco.
Did we ever figure out how many stages there are, Ken? I got up to 10 and hadn't repeated yet, so...
I made it to 10, and that's as far as I got. And usually his games have 10 stages, so...
Okay.
Wow, that looks like a really cool game that someone's playing in the top left. I wonder what
I'm going to guess that's Bob.
No, that would be Ken.
Oh, it was you? Okay.
Yeah. What game?
I was recovering from Boris.
He only had the one
something-
button left.
I needed something that was just a one-button game that didn't stress me out.
Yeah, what game is that? It looks cool.
That is
Neutroid 19.
Ah.
Ghost Rush.
Neutroid Fallout.
Goop Rush. Goop Rush, that's it. Thank you, Bob.
I was doing a callback to like not having short-term memory, you know.
Who said that?
So, but yeah, it was a great time. One person that was definitely missing was you. Yes, you know who you are. So please come join us Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, to play the wonderful games that we're playing. And then you can also hear Ken say,
what am I saying? Oh, about our new game of the week. Does anybody want to hear about that?
Sure.
As long as it's not Boris.
Boris.
Okay, just give me a second here. I must share a screen. Here we go. Does anybody know this one? Other than
Oh,
Curtis?
that's a hot cocoa type in. Nope, I think I remember. I'll let somebody else try to guess first. It's 2 words. Right?
As you may notice, yes, it is a bit of a takeoff on Galaxian, or...
The only one I can think of is 3 words.
Is it Duck Hunt?
Better than Boris.
Better than Boris. Yes, it is.
I don't remember what issue of Hot Cocoa was, but it was a type in. Space Hawk. Right?
That is correct. Here we go. So basically, it's a game. Your typical space shooter. You have to shoot everything on the screen. The difference is that it starts out with 5 enemies on the screen, and they immediately start moving down towards you, and you have to kill them all before they get to the bottom of the screen. And every level after that, up until level 5, it adds 5 more bad guys. So once you're at level 5, there's 25 on the screen. That's the maximum. But yeah, by the time you get to level 3 or so, it gets pretty hectic to try to kill them all before they get to the bottom of the screen.
Yeah. This is one of the better type-in games, actually. I would rank this up there with some of the best ones from Rainbow, etc.
So yeah, that's our game for the next 2 weeks. That's it. I don't have anything else to say. Shall we see if Mark is ready?
Is Mark even? Oh, there he is. Well, his stream is. Mark, can you take us on a walk around?
And now we'll give him 35, 40 seconds to catch up to the feed and respond to us.
He may be tied to a desktop, so we'll have him stand on the table and wave the camera around.
I see Scott still there in the background.
Where's this at? Portland?
Is it?
Interim Computer Fest in...
Yeah, it's icf.org or whatever.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, I'm on my iPad, so it looks like both of them are working. Cool. This is actually in Seattle. In fact, it's the old Rainier Brewery is where it's at. So that's my camera just shooting down the aisle here and pick it up. So lots of various things around here. I'll walk through with my iPad, hopefully, and we'll see things individually. Are you still seeing the room view, or what are you seeing right now?
Yep, we're seeing you pan the camera around.
Okay, so you're getting 2 zoom feeds. You're getting a zoom from my computer and then also in talking on my iPad. Behind me here's a guy with some AIX servers, Apple servers in the corner. We'll go around and show those on. So just back up. Like I just have my computer here that's where's my microphone? At the bottom. Oh, top. Okay, I'm working off my iPad. Okay, let me see if I can switch to the video on my iPad here. There's that. Start video here. Yes.
See on the second. There he is.
Okay. And
there you are.
Good. Now how do I switch the other? There we go.
Woo,
so
walking.
Here's my table. Apple IIe's and my Coco, and I'm running Bonobo on that right now. Coco 3.
That's Henry Strickland's project, for those that don't know.
Yep. So this guy has some Apple servers. You can see
other buttons. Yeah. That physically don't
so this is the Apple server with AIX. It's like the business line. The cases are in the corner there. I'll go over and show you there. But he's running
that's
AIX.
Apple's internal Unix, wasn't it?
Yeah, Apple AI. Apple
Before Mac OS 10.
Yep, exactly.
And like, I think they
get over here. So you can see the server box there. That's what they look like.
I think trying to create a system like that to drive a bunch of Apple II.
Let's even. There we go. Yep, that's what they look like. So let's see. This table's got looks like there's an Apple like the TGS keyboard, and it looks like IBM systems. Not sure who this person is.
Oh, say hi to Scott Wendt for us too, if he's still around there.
Yeah, I think he still is. I'll go chase him down. So, Indy Silicon Graphics Systems, SGI. So these, I think, are AT&T. Oh, somebody is running. Somebody is running Zork. Weiss. These are probably IBM systems. Over here, we got. I think it's an AT&T system, right? No, it's copyright Hewlett Packard. There's like some test equipment, oscilloscope, and some network analyzing stuff. Oh, there's the Rainbow Max.
All right, best we can do, like collectively, at the hack.
Now Bondi Blue.
Yeah,
that's too low. We want like 1,000. Okay, well, good luck. Yeah. 6 months later.
Oh, that's right. I think that's a Windows 98 system. It's got all kinds of hacky stuff in it. Oh, Commodore 64 over here. Hopefully it's not too obtrusively noisy. Hey, there's Scott.
Hey.
Say hello to CoCoNation.
Hello, CoCoNation.
And you are Scott.
I am Scott. Malfunk, a lot of places. Welcome.
Very active on the Coco Discord.
Computer Festival up here in Seattle.
Can you hear Scott?
We can hear Scott.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, just fine.
They can hear you. Anyway, glad to see you,
Have
Scott.
fun, yeah.
Just going through and doing a tour. They're streaming it right now. So.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
PC Junior. We got a PC Junior and a Commodore 64.
They could have put more sidecars on that. It's not wide enough yet.
Yeah, I know.
Don't walk between it and the keyboard.
Yep. It looks like he's got the wired keyboard. Oh,
You can put that into
let's see. This is the free pile over here. Anybody need a dot metrics printer? They got it.
Those are banned in most free piles nowadays, aren't they?
There's some swing arms.
I don't know if there's. I mean, I'll take a dot matrix printer from a free file if it's a nice one or an interesting one.
They're just apples.
Yeah, they should be banned. There's another one of them non-male humans.
Anybody know what that is?
That looks like a
Model
teletype
28.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's my first terminal I had on the Coco, isn't it?
Right.
What model is that?
Don't know. It looks like it predates the 19 though.
Yeah, it's an older one.
So the other one's in the room here in front of me.
For like 3 months a year.
I'm reminded of the trans-dimensional teletype / typewriter from Fringe.
Yep. Commodore 64. Oh.
Yeah.
That look familiar?
Yeah.
100 or 102, I can't tell.
100. Another one of those maps in various colors. And actually, it looks like inside.
Like, you know, you go and you heat up the building, but it's still you can feel the humidity. Yeah, and then everything condenses. I'm like,
Okay, Seattle Retro Computing Society. That's a local people get together and all kinds of various stuff. Atari 800 XL. Sloopy can feel his heart get warm. And here's an actual sun.
CC mail, so I can put this up and my email on it.
Swirling cow demo.
So the rack link is built into it. Stopwatch.
I'm going to tap this guy on the shoulder here because you probably know who he is.
So this USB-C.
Oh, seriously?
It is not
Adrian Black.
Adrian.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, he lives in Portland, Oregon, so he was closer than I am.
Nice. Adrian
you
Black
are
on the CoCoNation.
Nice.
Hi, Coco fans.
I said, oh, it's Adrian Black.
Yeah, that's
yes,
right.
it is. Okay.
Awesome.
Oh, Frog Finds. The search engine for old computers. Old ThinkPad. Oh, here's an old grid. Look at that. Monochrome, goodness.
Next in your pocket.
Oh, a ThinkPad tab. More ThinkPads?
So yeah, it's pretty
and there's some of those
capable.
HP,
MS-DOS 5.0. It'll run any DOS application.
Those little tiny ones.
I think I think they said the only compatibility issue is
And this is Michael. Hi, this is the CoCoNation Live. All good stuff, Coco. He ran the VCF Pacific Northwest in 2019 and 2018. And for 2020, if there was. Oh, look at that. And look what he has in a box.
I've also had today.
Beautiful. Nice.
I like him already.
Nice.
Supposed to be working.
To what?
I've always wanted one of these, and now I have one.
Now you have one. So what have you? Any mods yet? Or it's still stock?
I have no idea. I'm gonna find out
64K?
tonight. No idea.
What's the model number on the back?
And the serial number. And do we have the Discord and YouTube stream for you?
3127B. This might be a T1 Coco too.
It's late.
Is it
Very
10
late
or
one.
No, it's TRS-80, so it's not going to
Anyway,
have a T1.
I'm gonna find out
You want
tonight.
another T1? Okay. So it's
Yeah.
T1.
Yeah, it's Tandy. I think had the T1.
Yeah,
What's this?
you got to have the Tandy badge for T1.
Yeah, we do? Okay. Yeah, it's pretty T1, but it is fairly late.
And if you look under his thumb, it's whether that the seal's been broke.
We didn't look for the seal. Was the seal broken or not?
It won't last long anyway.
Yeah,
just
Well, if the seal's not broken, it's still stock.
There you
It's
go.
stock.
Oh, it's
stock.
stock. Okay.
Whatever it was.
Don't open it up.
Yeah, you'll avoid
Unless they were clever with a hairdryer.
All right.
Hey there again. As Scott Wendt again. If you need any help, Scott knows a little bit about these. So do I. And
Mark, I think Scott's stalking you.
Scott's stalking me.
Run!
Well, yeah. In case you haven't noticed, it's a really small room.
It seems to be more people than the last time you were there, though.
It does. It looks more packed this year than last year.
Nice.
Comes and goes.
You guys
it
might
goes
be
in
looking to
waves.
upgrade the venue, too.
Yeah. The main thing is trying to find a appropriate venue. So I guess there's a town nearby that has like an event space for weddings and stuff. That would be possible.
That's just a good monitor. Well, everyone's using.
Is that a Paperwhite?
Yes.
2E monitor?
The tube's been replaced. It's not original.
That's one where you could tilt the screen within the case, too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, these are very common. They were used a lot of times to the Apple IIes in the mid '80s.
And not only do we have an Apple II monitor on top of an IBM piece of equipment, but we also have a Rickroll going on too.
So it's a PC Junior. Oh, you got enough sidecars there. Rickroll and a 2E monitor on an Apple.
Never gonna
IBM
let you
Junior to some
down.
extent.
It's
It's like Rickroll Inception at that point.
Right.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, I guess I should zip back to the other side here. Here's the other side of that test equipment. Basically, logic analyzer, oscilloscope, stuff. Oh, this got a little terminal. So, oh, this is a MicroVAX II. Here for Alan.
Yeah,
I'm live
buddy.
streaming on something called CoCoTalk. We're a Candy Color Computer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do a show every Saturday this time. So
It's CoCoNation now, though.
Yeah.
Jazz
Don't
Drive-
let
oh,
AT&T
thanks.
see you
Sorry.
running that.
I'm old school. Sorry, it is the CoCoNation. CMS Vax on a Jazz Drive. Well, you know, it's SCSI. It works.
It works.
It's SCSI.
Is that X Windows he's running there, too? Or?
I believe he is running X Windows. He's running X Windows for sure on that.
Yeah, that's got to be X-Eyes
Is that
looking
Windows
over at
also?
the.
Yes, that's on the X11R.
Okay. X11R3? Okay. And it's on MicroVAX.
4.3 BSD running on this
Okay.
MicroVAX II. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
ESC.
I'm live streaming
That's
on something
showing up
called-
on an AT&T terminal too. That's actually pretty.
This terminal here is an AT&T 730.
Yep.
If you look on the side there, there's a cartridge ROM plugged into it that has the X terminal emulation software.
Ah, okay.
Nice.
With X emulator, the CRT on this is square.
Right.
So it's 1024 by 1024 pixels.
Right.
Pretty rare terminal. It's unfortunate because they're really neat.
Yep.
In addition to doing X, it also does AT&T's layers windowing system, which is they used on various AT&T Unixes, but primarily on the 3v2s.
Right. Yeah, there's people on this Zoom call that's being live streamed. Unix trainer Alan, what did you teach on? Solaris, or was it
Yes, I did. SunOS and Solaris.
SunOS and Solaris? He was a technical trainer.
Okay, cool.
20 years ago. So very familiar. Yeah, other people that worked in data
4.3, man, that's so illegal.
4.3.
Stop.
They're going to chase you down.
All right.
Yeah, don't let AT&T see this stream, man.
Hey, there's a PDP-8S. With the wrong
flip tips.
You know, it's 40 years on now, 50 years on. Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do.
So, a not working 8S, but one day he'll get it working.
Wow, there's a pile of stuff in there.
Man, that is nice.
Little module cards. That's
Make it live.
It's like each chip has its own board.
Yes, this is the yellow. Remember?
Right?
That's all hot swappable while it's running, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, if you want to blow things up, hot swappable. Look at that power supply back there.
That's hot.
Big iron cores. Big ass iron core.
Yeah.
That's a big iron core right there. Damn.
PTB-8S.
Rick Adams would be jealous.
That one's so big they bolt the other one onto it.
People used to run their businesses on these things.
I worked at a Burger King. They ran one of these without a front panel that had all of the burger buying machines connected to it.
Really?
That's how old these
At
things
a Burger
are.
King.
Yeah, it was the Manic system.
A friend of mine on this Zoom call said Burger King runs something called the Manic system to run all their fryers and stuff off of one of these. Oh, wow. Well, you use what you got, so.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Looks like some of the contacts are showing a little age. There's a little bit of green.
There's some various cards for it here. And see.
But this made the flip test made the field engineer's job easier. This is their bag had handful of these and
some ceramic chips there. Here's another digital terminal, it looks like. MNet. This is Altos 68,000 system. Nice. Oldest public access Unix system. Another AT&T terminal. Here's another PDP-8E.
I never used those. I only use the PDP-11 at work, but
yeah,
I know Rick Adams. He kind of grew up on the PDP-8, so he's quite a fan.
I don't know how these work. You could buy one of those without a front panel that just ran.
Back around to my box, my stuff. Yeah, this whole room is only usable space here. It's like 50 feet, 15 meters, 16 meters, and 40 feet wide.
Yeah, you don't see pocket chips anymore.
Yeah, I had one of those actually. I was surprised to hear that one. It's like, oh, I have a pocket chip.
Yeah, I have one also.
Yeah. Use it for a terminal.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do much typing on it though.
No, have like little metal blister things. So yeah, it's an interface at least.
They did exist at this time.
But they were black and white.
Just the nod to the platinum color than having that inset.
This was original. This was.
Let's see. Well, there's Scott Wendt over there again.
He is stalking you.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I said, notable people. Adrian Black down there, Scott Wendt. Yep. You already said hi.
I know that guy.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, ask him why he hasn't responded to my Patreon question.
Okay, I will go do that.
I don't have the patch docs.
Tell him I said hi.
Oh, right. Like that. Yeah, okay. What about tame compatibility? Do you have to like mod the system? I have the mod stuff.
Mr. Black, I understand you have an outstanding Patreon question from Sloopy Malibu.
The inquest is not.
You're not allowed to hijack me and steal me away for CoCoFEST.
Oh, okay.
That was a threat at one point.
Oh, okay. I didn't threaten you. It wasn't me.
No, it wasn't you. It was,
Who said we were asking for permission?
Yeah. What was the question? No, I don't know.
Oh, Sloopy, what was the question?
Yeah, what was the question?
I don't remember. It was months ago, but I'm just saying hi.
I have so many unread. Hi, everyone. There are so many unread messages. I have 3,000 in my inbox for my Gmail.
Oh, wow.
I have a million Patreon questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it sucks because I want to prioritize Patreon.
Right.
But time is of the essence.
Yeah, exactly.
I only have so much of a day.
Tell him
I come
it's
in
all
things like
good.
this, then I really don't have time. So.
He says it's all good.
I just figured he's busy
Hello,
and
everyone. Who's
He
there?
is
How many
busy.
people are there?
How many people are there? Let me see if I can get the. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, hi.
So yeah. So student engineer Mark B. He's in Oklahoma. Sleepy, of course, is in Maryland. Bob's in Texas. Henry's in Massachusetts. Ron is in Delaware. Patrick is in Wisconsin. Curtis is in Saskatchewan.
I love it.
Grant is in.
Put the camera around so we're not.
Nick is in Australia.
We're trying to switch it around here. There we go.
Oh yeah.
Ryan is in Western Iowa. Ken is in British Columbia. Hey Ken, you didn't come down. See
Ken,
us.
I know Ken brought me chips from Canada last time.
You did.
Yeah.
Alan's in Texas.
Ketchup.
Kevin is in Nebraska near Omaha, and here I am on my other feed over there. Ron here is in Surprise, Arizona. Nick Renton's all the way from Australia.
Love it.
And it's the main screen.
Very cool.
This is our pretty much regular Saturday parade.
All right, you guys are diehards. I love it.
Are you gonna hit the three pile? We just hit 405 episodes today.
All right.
And we just finished. This is actually starting year 9. Just finished 8 years.
Well, one of the things I was trying to work on is I have an MC10 at home, and I realized my MC10 is useless without the RAM expansion, which I didn't have. So I sent Tim Linder out to go try to procure one for me, and Paul Shoemaker, someone he knows, is going to be sending me one.
Okay,
so I'll be able to make an MC10 video. Yeah,
excellent.
Yeah.
Cool. Give us a heads up.
Yeah, I can't wait. I will.
Feature it.
Yeah, cool. And you know what? I thought it would need fixing, but it worked.
No, a lot of the tame stuff just works.
Well, I know, and
It's weird.
I don't know if the MC10 has any common faults, but the MC10 I had, I thought was dead, and I went to plug it in, it just worked.
The only problem with the MC10 is going to be the card connector.
Anyways,
Card connector, the wobbles. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can believe it. But anyways, cool. Well, hi everyone. Goodbye, everyone. I've been trying to get to the bathroom for like a while.
He said he got into computing.
Awesome.
And he got shanghaied again.
Finding out from you how to join the Discord.
Oh, one question.
Jim Gary would be proud of you.
I had one guy here I wanted to chat with. He went to school, college with one of the guys who interviewed me. Talked to him last year. Can't remember his name. Anyway, that's about it. All we got going on here.
That looks like a pretty busy show from last time, like I mentioned.
And it goes in waves. I mean, there's probably about 65, 70 people in the room right now. Yeah.
And this goes for 2 days or 1 day?
Yeah, it goes for 2 days. So it'll be tomorrow.
Nice.
And do they have seminars and stuff too?
Yeah, they do. Upstairs.
Any interesting seminars you saw?
Seminar.
Like scheduled. I don't know if you actually have time to see them since you have a booth, but
Yeah, I'm trying to look where the schedule is. So.
maybe like an MC10 SD card upgrade session or something?
Oh, there we go. Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the schedule is.
Yeah. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. There's like, I know.
Yeah, I know there's a schedule for the seminar. So I'm trying to know where it is. So. Who was it you went to school with that we interviewed? And I forgot your name offhand.
Oh, I'm Kent. Hi.
Hi, and you went to which college?
Purdue.
Purdue. Okay.
So I met this fellow in the dorm when I was a freshman. I don't remember if he was the same year as me. He could have been a year ahead. And then in one of those tragedies of being a young person, I lost touch with him pretty much completely. I did visit him. He was living at home, of course, being in college.
All right.
And I did visit him on spring break or that summer, but then after that, I lost touch with him. So he lived in the northwest side of Indianapolis.
What was his name?
And his name, getting to your actual question,
right?
Scott Griepentrog.
Ah, yes.
SGG.net. Yep, I know him quite well. He's RVing around these days.
Yeah, he's an RV now and travels around. So.
Oh, wow.
I don't think he even has a fixed address. I think he's kind of.
Yeah.
But it just connected when we were talking about it. I thought, I wonder, because basically nobody that was in 8-bit computer named X is into them now still, but I ask now and then, and sure enough, that was one of those unusual cases where he actually is kind of still involved, I guess.
Yeah, at least he came on and talked about it.
At least he came on and
A lot of people are flattered when you say, "Hey, you want to come on our live stream and talk about stuff you did 40 years ago?"
I remember him being quite the OS9 hacker.
Correct.
Yeah. OS9 is still a thing. By the way, Curtis Boyle right here is one of the guys who wrote the 6309 version called MicroVAX. He's one of the four developers that wrote that.
Oh, fun.
Basically, they took OS9, they reversed it, and built it to optimize the 6309.
Nice.
And it's still ongoing.
And it's still ongoing. Still a daily thing.
Hello, everyone, from almost sunny Seattle.
Almost sunny Seattle. That means there's no rain, it's just break clouds.
That's right. I did
So
see
what is it
earlier, and I wondered what god I had to grieve.
What is his full name again? I just want to see if I recognize the name from one of the.
Last name is Sullivan.
Were you on the FidoNet Coco Echoes or anything?
Were you on FidoNet?
No.
Yep. Not back
Okay.
No, my retro, like what did I do back in the day? A couple of people I met at Purdue, we designed, and then one of the fellows here, after I moved here after college, we designed and built and sold some peripherals for the Commodore 64, which we then sold that business to a company that was conglomerating people products that were getting out in the late 80s.
So what company was that?
So the name of the company, this is a real thing, we were actually registered, was Dr. Evil Laboratories.
Dr. Evil Laboratories. I think I remember ads in Transactor or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So the first thing we built and sold was a second of the sound chips, the SID chip.
On the cartridge?
On the cartridge. Because there's a fellow who had made all the software to play Six Voices, but he didn't have a hardware solution. And so it had very low adoption because kind of scary to contemplate soldering, piggyback soldering, especially when that particular chip was a little static sensitive.
Yeah, very much so. I blew mine up in my SN64.
There you go. So we sold a bunch of those, and then Brian right here designed the. There was a chip in the Commodore 8-bit family, which was ACIA, the 6551, that Commodore took out of the Commodore 64 for cost reasons.
Yep.
And so we put it on a cartridge so that it would be usable. As modem speeds went up beyond 1200 baud, the bit banging serial routines just didn't cut.
Yeah, we had the same problem in the Coco.
Coco, same thing. It had a built-in bit banger, but they used the 6551.
Really? Now, was that cartridge third party, or did
No,
Radio
it's
Shack
handy.
offer
There
it?
was some third party ones too. I have one in my table.
I'm going to stop by and see that. That's really cool.
Yep. That's one thing I did find I brought.
So that effort, Brian did a great job on the hardware engineering, but a lot of it was creating a third person that's unfortunately deceased now, Noel Nyman, created a software development kit, and we did a lot of outreach to people making.
He's got the Dr. Evil Laboratories hat. Very nice.
Working with popular terminal program makers back in the day to get them to
adopt it
and add it as an option.
Yep.
Most of them didn't take out the other routines.
Oh yeah, of course not.
No reason not to.
Yeah.
The thing that was different was I'd seen plenty of people who would design an accessory, and it would work if there was software to run it, but you got just the scantest little bit of information on how you might make a program that uses it.
Yep.
It's like he premiered this with all the software compatible.
Yeah, when we launched, there were a bunch of free and pay programs that were ready to go. Yeah.
Best way to do it.
Yeah, it made me look smart in retrospect. I decided to do it that way, but I don't think I'm particularly smarter. It just seemed like the right thing to do.
Good planning. So,
yeah,
there's so many things, the hardware and software. It's like you can build the hardware first, then you gotta wait for somebody to make the software. If somebody's already made software, it's close but not exactly what you need, so how to make it better.
Right. It was really not a lot more thinking than, in the SID chip case, the software already existed and it was an immediate rocket ship, and so the more software we have, the better it's going to be.
I have a little video clip to show you from last week.
And then the thing that surprised me is after I kind of got out of it, but how beloved, I guess, that cartridge is among people who are writing BBS software, which makes sense in retrospect because they really wanted the throughput.
They did. Well, and also it offloads so much off the computer.
It offloads so much off the computer, right?
There's no way you can have a multi-line Commodore unless you have something like that.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, have a good
Nice to meet you.
rest of your.
This is the
day.
CoCoNation. We do a live stream every Saturday this time of day.
Oh, fun.
And fixed on the candy color computer. We have people, Commodore people, Atari people, and I know.
So is it heavily weighted to the 1, the 2, or the 3, or just
across the board? Because we also cover
And Dragons and MC10s and CP400s and
there's also
The redheaded stepchild.
a bazillion?
Brazilian.
Yep.
Oh,
Brazilian.
Brazilian. I was going to say that's a lot of clones.
Brazil was notorious for cloning everything, right? So there's clones of the color computer dragon. We have people in Brazil that watch.
Now, does it have Portuguese in the ROM or?
No, the basic. Is
yeah,
still,
some of them do.
That's right. I know it's some Spanish ones. Some Spanish modern ones have some Spanish words. So, the basic, some of those errors.
Yeah.
But yeah, Portuguese some of the as well. So.
Nice.
Anyway, thank you guys. Okay, well, I guess that's it for now.
Okay, well, thanks for taking us through a walkthrough.
No problem.
Mail, man.
Checks in the mail.
Right.
That'll be a first.
Good job.
8 years.
Not
so that'll
signed
be a
or
first.
anything.
It's all zeros. Okay. Well, let me see. I'm surprised I could log in twice in the same login as Zoom. You see me twice now.
Yeah, your signal didn't drop. I mean, the frame rate's not 60 FPS or anything, but it's not bad.
Well,
Right, you're working.
If I remember correctly, the last time when Ken was there was a lot of stalling and stuff on the network.
Could be, except
DLT tape.
right up there
It's the same form factor.
on the post. So I'm working off local Wi-Fi. So that's going to make a difference. Hey, my donkey comes back. Hey there, Scott. What's up, Scott?
I was going to ask, are you on the waiting list for the Guinea Z?
Yes, I am.
Because I noticed your Coco doesn't have
Nope.
a Gimme replacement yet.
It does not.
Did you not get any event for it?
Any buds? No, I didn't get any events.
I feel a little bit bad that I have 2 Gimme X's at home.
You have 2?
I have 2 because I just got one, liked it, got immediately on the waiting list.
Right. Got another.
I didn't realize that would be the last match ever.
Oh, split view.
Yeah, hopefully the Gimme Z comes out soon.
It will. I'm part of the hold up here. There's some compatibility problems with the boomerangs. I need to get some more stuff to
Gotcha. Yeah, I signed up for 2 of those because at the time it looked like he wouldn't meet his minimum.
Yeah.
I'll
you want to
probably
push
have
it
to
along.
resell one of those when it comes. I don't need 4 computers with a Gimme upgrade in there.
Okay. Well, we'll let people know.
They won't hear me for this at all. Will they?
Oh, no, not at all. Nope. Not at all.
They'll never figure out who I am either.
Nope, they won't. It's weird.
Shut up and take my money.
Okay. Well, anyway, I'm going to drop off this call. So, see you guys
Okay, well,
later.
thanks again, Mark.
I'll leave my other computer streaming if you want to pop back on and see what's going on. So
Looks like a good time out there, and it looks pretty packed.
it is. Yeah, it's probably not as busy as it was last year. Maybe a little busy. It goes in waves. It's usually quieter on Sunday, but this is what there is. We don't have a lot of choices here.
Have you heard any updates as to whether they're trying to be a full VCF again? If that's making any progress?
They kind of like to, but the Michael Brutman over there, he was with DCF a couple of years ago, and they've got a lot of weird hoops to jump through and stuff. So I don't know. They'd like to do something like that, but they could also do it without the notoriety. There's the internet and there's Facebook groups and stuff, and people like us that will let people know there's events like this happening. So they don't need the backing of VCF in order to make stuff work. So
yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm going to drop off my iPad here.
Okay.
Enjoy the show.
Thanks.
All right, bye.
We never
Hey,
saw
Mark B,
Inception.
All right. Okay.
Do a commercial, and then we'll hit the news stuff.
Okay. Let's see. What did I do last week? Let's try this one.
Hi, I'm John.
And I'm Aaron of the CoCo Show.
And you're watching or listening to the CoCoNation, the live and interactive talk show featuring the Tandy Color Computer and its cousins.
All hail the CoCoNation.
Future Vision Research is your source for FujiNet platforms, including the FujiNet for Tandy Color computers. The FujiNet cartridge supports CoCo models 1, 2, and 3 and comes with HDB-DOS DriveWire 3. Load files from SD card or connect to Wi-Fi and load files over the internet or your local Windows, Mac, and Linux computers. Applications from the FujiNet team allow you to follow news from all over the world, catch up on Mastodon messages, and even track the International Space Station. For more information and to purchase your own FujiNet devices, visit fvresearch.com.
In a world where RGB produces black and white video, one cable can make a difference. Switcheroo. CoCo3SCARTcable.com.
A little brush of joystick to really bring our CoCo experience to life. And now I'm thinking a flourish of blue to accent our CoCo scene. And this scriptset blue might be, but as I'm looking at it against the canvas, it wouldn't be the right blue for me. We don't make mistakes on this show. We just have happy accidents. Now let's go for baseball blue. A nice hue to accent from our CoCo, but not overpower the scene. Hi, I'm TJB Chris, the Bob Ross of the CoCoNation, and you're watching the CoCoNation live show. Now isn't that fun?
When you want the latest in TRS-80, Tandy, Dragon, MC-10, and all of their hardware cousins, no matter what it takes, or where news breaks, from around the world to your nation. The CoCoNation News with L Curtis Boyle.
Okay, well, before I get into the actual news here, just to remind everybody, we're having a special interview on April the 5th. Mark Mosley himself will be one of the interviewees. He said he was one of the beta testers for the RIBS, RIBBS system under OS 9, originally created by Ron Byler, who will be on the show, the original creator of the project. And then Charles Chuck West, who basically took it over for the later versions of it. A lot of other people were involved too. I haven't been able to get any of them to come on. Unfortunately, Wes Gale, Bill Nolan, a few others, I tried to get a few. But if anybody knows anybody else that was involved with the project and wants to let them know. By the sounds of it, I haven't got a confirmation from Chuck yet. I don't know if you have, Mark, or not. It's going to be near the beginning of the show because Ron, it definitely works out better for him if it's early, like right around 2 o'clock Eastern, as opposed to later in the show.
Yeah, I think I got a confirmation that he was going to be there. Okay, I'll touch base with him again.
Okay, I did create a group email, but I know some people were just responding, just to me directly, so not everybody could see everything. So that'll be on April the 5th, and that's the only CoCo BBS system that was actually part of FidoNet, which meant you could send messages all over the world, and sometimes it would take up a week to get to Australia or something like that, but you could actually have conversations long distance without any cost to you. Just the BBS sysops had to pay some long distance at night to send the mail packets across. I know Bob Devries in Australia was a very active member of that, and I don't believe, Nick, you were, if I remember. You didn't really do the BBS thing.
No.
So April 5th, that will be, and it'll be near the beginning of the show. And speaking of shows, other upcoming ones, obviously the one that's going on right now. If you're in the Seattle area, you might have one more day to go there if you want to give it a shot. But coming up after that is VCF East. That is April 4th to the 6th in the Info Age Science Museum in Wall, New Jersey. And Henry, any updates there?
All right. So, again, we are doing emulation for the classes.
CoCo classes? Yeah.
Yep. And it turns out that Brian Kernigan will be presenting a talk at VCF East.
Now you should tell some people who maybe don't recognize that name, although I can't see how you can meet computers not.
Brian Kernigan is the K in K&R, Kernigan and Ritchie when it comes to the C language. So he was one of the guys that built it. Yes. So I thought he was going to be at VCF Midwest. I could still be wrong about that. He could still be going to be to VCF Midwest, but he is going to be speaking at VCF East. So that's huge right there. And yeah, so that's about the size of that as far as updates for VCF East are concerned. But we still have the CoCo classes that are going to be happening. It is going to be bring your own machine. We do have when bring your own machine, bring a laptop. We'll be doing emulation, and we'll help you get set up with that. There will be a few machines on over there to play around with, like actual hardware. But the biggest limitation that we had was, aside from collecting the machines themselves, collecting the displays for the machines. So that's what we're looking at as far as bring your own machine.
Okay, and also I saw, like, we'll be covering it later on the news too, but you actually got FujiNet running in the emulators too, so.
Yep. That I do. And I got some linkies for you for that one.
Yeah, we'll cover that in a bit more detail in the news when we actually get to your video on it, so. Next show after that, the Manitoba Retro Computer and Gaming Club is having their next basically quarterly meetup. And that will be happening at the Fort Rouge Leisure Center in Winnipeg, Manitoba, the same as it did last time in January. This will be on April the 12th, so the week after. This is one that Bruce Moore and David Craker are kind of semi-regulars at. The next one is being more themed along the Commodore 128, but basically all retro systems are welcome. And it's not just retro computers and video game systems. There's also retro like oscilloscopes and Tandy robots and all kinds of stuff that come out to these things. So it's actually quite a fun time. Nice, small, intimate setting, 4-hour meeting basically on Saturday. Next up after that is the Indy Classic Computer and Video Game Expo, which is April 12th to the 13th. So that same weekend at the Crown Plaza in Indianapolis Airport Hotel in Indianapolis, Indiana. And this is the show that is co-hosted and co-organized by Randy Kingdig of the Floppy Days podcast fame, as well as some others like Antic. And we interviewed him on our show. So if you don't know too much about Randy, just go do a search for interview Randy Kingdig, and you'll find it on, I think it was, we were still CoCo Talk at that time. But we had a pretty nice long one. He started with the Model 1 way back when, so he's got some familiarity with the Tandy stuff. And we've had a few people represent at the show before. I'd love to see a bit more of a growth there, of more CoCo people getting out. It's only a 4 to 6 hour drive from Chicago proper, I think, if I remember. I haven't done the drive in a while.
Indianapolis, it's only like if it's Indianapolis, it's only like about a 3 or 4 hour drive.
Okay, yeah, 4 I think is probably what I'm thinking of. Plus I was usually coming from the far west of the whole Chicago area. And probably taking traffic into consideration, it might take 6 hours, but as Ken and I are somewhat familiar with. The pricing's pretty good. It's $5 a person or $10 per family. So take, your kids, your spouse, because they'll be so excited. Next up that, of course, Grant just gave us an update on the 33rd annual last Chicago CoCoFest, which is in 40 days away. And the hotel rates are good till April 7th. Is that still accurate? I think you said, Grant. Is Grant still on, first of all, I guess?
Yeah, April 7th.
And then as far as the meal thing, is that got a cutoff date too, or?
We'll cut it off about a week before the fest, because I have to give them the numbers of the dinner by that time.
Okay. And if you want to book the hotel, you have to use the special group rate code for the fest. It's G30, and you'll get the discounted rate. And as Grant mentioned, the main floor is pretty well sold out, which I didn't bring up that page, but let's take a look. One lone table left in the main hall. And there's a few already out in the auxiliary that are already used, so. Next up to that is RetroFest 2025. This is the one in the UK organized by Tony Jewell, who we've had on the show before when we were doing the Dragon specials. This is happening in Swindon, England, May 31st to June the 1st. Some other Dragon people have committed to be there, including Richard Harding, who's kind of the historian of the whole Dragon community. He's got a ton of original documentation and stuff from Dragon themselves, from Microdeal, all kinds of stuff. And Chris Poacher will also be there. He's kind of a Microdeal. I think he's got the guy who runs the Microdeal Facebook page, actually, if you want to get a history of Microdeal, which started on the Dragon, but later expanded to like the Atari ST and the Amiga and a bunch of other things as well. It's being held at the STEAM, the Great Western Railway Museum. So kind of like when you go to the Dragon show specifically, there's a whole separate museum you get to go see because it happens to be run in the same place. So you can maybe take some kids or spouses and stuff there and kind of do the whole retro computer thing. But then you also get to look at the retro trains and stuff too, which is kind of cool. And we even have a promo video, which I played a little while ago. I won't play it now because I don't know how long my voice is going to hold out with my cold here, so I'm not going to push it. Links to that are in our show notes, which will appear on the CoCo Discord, which is a thing you can sign up for free. There's a ton of channels for a ton of different subjects. Scott Wendt, who we saw it earlier with Mark Overholzer, is a very active participant in the CoCo Discord and answers questions. And yeah, there's a ton of stuff. You want to learn anything about any of the CoCo and its cousins or the software or whatever else. I mean, game pages, all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of stuff to do in there. Next after that is VCF Southwest. This is the one that is ran in Tandy's old backyard in Dallas, Texas. So Dallas, Fort Worth area. It's June 20th to 22nd at the Davidson Gundai Alumni Center at the University of Texas at Dallas. And Mark Siegel and a few others have committed to come out to that. So if you want to meet some of the people that actually helped create the CoCo and the CoCo 3, etc., this is a good chance to do so. For that particular one, it's $20 per adult to get in the show, $25 if you wait to buy it at the door. So it's definitely cheaper if you order in advance. $10 for a student in advance, $15 at the door. Children 17 and under are free with accompanying adults. If you want to get a table, it's $50. Brendan Donahue and a few others are regular exhibitors here too. So, and I believe Boise's doing another presentation on, I'm not sure what the subject is. It could be CoCo 3, OS 9, Nitrous 9, DriveWire. I have no idea. Next after that is the renamed as of this year International Retro Computer Expo 2025. This was formerly BUGFIX, and this is, of course, with the Amigos. So it says Aaron, Brent, and John Botovkar Schaller are your gracious hosts at this one. It's July 11th to 13th, so about a month later than it was in previous years, in Hurricane, West Virginia. And they also have a promo thing, but they also have online tickets you can order now, too, through Ticket Source. Once again, the links to these are all included in the show notes. Next after that is VCF Midwest 20. This is the biggest retro show that I'm aware of. And we usually have a whole section for CoCo people there, which Rick Hewlin and Ken and a bunch of others have been to before. And this one is held in Schaumburg at the Schaumburg Convention Center, which is a new venue as of last year, and it's huge, from what I've heard from you guys. And not far. I mean, Schaumburg is also where Rainbow Fest was held by Rainbow Magazine from 1983 till 1991, I believe. So it's kind of right in the backyard where Rainbow Fest started. And you know, you also get to see like Taylor and Amy. They're part of a band now called the Stop Bits, and it looks like an all around good time. I'll have to make it up to one of these years here fairly soon, hopefully. But that's definitely one I definitely want to get to. Next after that is Retro World Expo. This is September 12th to the 14th at the Connecticut Convention Center in Hartford, Connecticut. Ticket and vendor applications aren't quite ready yet. Last time I looked, it looks like vendor applications are live now. Tickets are not quite yet, but if you want to be a vendor there. Now, this covers all retro, including video game consoles, arcade machines, pinball machines, home computers, and stuff like wrestling. So it's kind of got a widely diverse type of gathering. Like there's a whole bunch of things to take a look at depending on what you're into. And as you just saw on the bottom there, it even has stuff like live wrestling. And they've also got voice actors and stuff. So it's a generally much wider gamut than even the VCF as far as what they're trying to cover. Next after that is Tandy Assembly. So if you're into the whole line of Tandy computer products instead of just the Coco sided stuff like we do here on the CoCoNation. This will cover the Model 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 4Ps, 12s, 16s, 100s, 102s, 200s, 600s, the Tandy 1000, 2000, 3000, 4000 series, and Tandy 10, and basically anything Tandy ever made that's computer related. I don't know if they have the Tandy Vision and Television clone there or not. Yeah, it's basically a television and wood grain. But all right, that is happening at September 26th to the 28th at the Courtyard by Marriott Springfield downtown in Springfield, Ohio. And like we've mentioned on quite a few of the other shows, including one that Mark just toured us through here, a lot of these shows are growing and they might have to actually move fairly soon, next couple of years, because I think they're starting to outgrow the facility. Next after that is the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. This is one that Tim and AJ have actually been a vendor at before, and I believe they're planning on attending this year to just as on the show floor, just to walk around, not exhibiting this year. But that's October 17th to 19th, which is also a month later than it was last year. Last year was in September. This covers basically retro gaming of any sort. This can be little handheld electronic games. This can be computer games, home consoles, etc. And it's a pretty well attended show, as you can see from the picture here on the screen. It's pretty packed. And they sell a lot of other, peripherals that are kind of related to retro gaming, like old T-shirts and posters and all kinds of stuff. So if you're into gaming specifically, this is a really good show to get to. And the last one coming up is VCF Montreal. So the first Canadian VCF, which is January 25th to the 26th, 2026. It'll be held at the Royal Military College outside of Montreal. I've got too many details on it, though I will mention Retro Rewind is one of the sponsors for this one. And they've also got their World of Retro in the Ontario, I think a little bit before this. I haven't got the specific dates yet. I'll have to
brush up on my French.
Montreal's mixed enough. You can get enough English speakers. I think you'd be okay. And that's all I got for upcoming shows. If I'm missing any, please send them to me on the Coco Discord or via email. You can do that if you remember my address. It's curtisboyle@sasstel.net. I also have a link to my email on my games site if you want to do it through there. Okay, do you guys want games first or regular news first? Or do you care?
Games.
Why did I know Nick was going to pick that?
Yeah, sure, games.
Okay, let me bring that window up. Okay, so first of all, the YouTube channel NMI, Non-Maskable Interrupt, posted a few gameplay videos from his real Coco 3 on a real CM8 monitor. He keeps shooting it in portrait mode, which I wish he wouldn't, but maybe that's his style. The first one he does, he plays Silpede, which is a cross-platform game that was quite popular in the late 80s on a variety of platforms. And it's one of the fat binary cartridges, so he's playing on a Coco 3. It detects that and actually uses the Coco 3 graphics. So I'm sure most of you have seen it. It's kind of like Thexter. Well, made by the same company, I should say, as Thexter. And this is another one that Bill Noble and I suspect, like Thexter was, it might have been written for OS 9 originally, and then they put it on a cartridge at the last minute, which is why the sound's pretty minimal. I haven't disassembled this one, but I do know Thexter, when you disassemble it, it actually has suspiciously looking like system calls for OS 9 for a lot of the functions. So I'm guessing because this is by the same authors, that probably is the same situation here. And some of the authors I should mention here actually were people that wrote for Spectral Associates for the Coco 1 and 2 back in the day. So they carried on until the late 80s.
When you first turn the computer on, does it say OS 9 boot?
No.
But you're right, they had a catch-22. All games were supposed to be OS 9 for the Coco 3, right?
Or cartridge.
But if you made it a cartridge, but you'd already written it as OS 9, okay.
Well, OS 9 will boot off ROM.
Yeah, but you'd save some memory here because I know Tandy would prefer to get a smaller ROM.
Right.
So that's one game he played. Go ahead.
Someone's clicking keyboard.
No, that was the game.
Oh, okay.
That was the same sound you get in Thexter when it, yeah.
I know it sounds like my key click on in Nitrous 9 that I default to on the term window.
Yes, which goes straight to your video capture, so you can't even get rid of it.
Yeah, I'll be changing that. I'm also be adding, I think I'm going to modify the GFX2 module before we release this new manual here and actually add the key click on off commands for Basic 9 users. and I'm going to default it off on the main screen. I think I've reminded people that feature's there enough already. So he also played Space Assault. I won't bother playing this one because everybody's seen this a bazillion times. But the one issue with the CoCo 3 hooked up to an RGB monitor is that you don't have an easy way to switch the palette to composite on older games that have no idea RGB and composite are a thing. So you're not going to get the right colors on this unless you put tape over the pin, put the cartridge in, manually set the palette registers, and then do an exec and H E010. So kind of complicated for the average user who just wants to play a clone of Space Invaders. But the gameplay's fun. Another one he did was Pegasus and the Phantom Riders. This is another Spectral Associates game that Tandy sold, and one of the better clones of a Joust style game because it does have a bit of a flavor where you're flying towards this island as opposed to just the standard stuff that the Joust games all did. So it actually adds a bit to it, but it also has some support for the speech sound pack, and he actually has one plugged into his CoCo here, so you should actually hear that. It's pretty faint if I remember, so my pardon if this pulls your ears out, but I don't think it's very loud. And unfortunately, this is one where they did not use it for sound effects like they could have. They could have really improved the sound effects on it. It just has some speech.
4 2 players. Good luck.
And that was perfectly understandable for everybody, right?
Something about 2 players.
Right.
Yeah, it was 2 players and then good luck. And I Google Translate or YouTube Translate completely failed to figure that out on its own. So,
so did I. So,
well, honestly, I'm not impressed with the speech sounds pack speech capability. If they'd used the newer chip that was out at the time that actually has pitch inflection stuff, was a lot smoother. Some third-party companies did sell that for the CoCo. It would have been way better.
Or if they just let you talk to it directly.
Yeah, it was easy to use. That was the main thing.
You had to work through its interface, and it was never going to be any better than what they gave you.
Yeah, it's too bad because if they hadn't put that stupid, there's positive and negative. I guess the pick chip or whatever they put in front made the speech a lot easier for a basic programmer, but it also made doing decent sound effects and stuff harder. So,
right,
which is too bad. Anyway, it's a good game, and we have covered it before. I'm trying to remember. I think we did a whole Joust series in a row on the Game On Challenge. We kind of went through them all at one point.
That's correct. And Pegasus and the Phantom Riders was the fan favorite of the 3.
Yep, I can agree with that one. And then second would be Lancer, and third would be Buzzard Bait. Let the controversy fly. Actually, the CoCo 3 transcode is definitely the best Joust if you're a Joust purist.
Yep, we all have to bow to that one.
Yep. Buzzsaw Gaming, and Buzzsaw is the name of his little lizard that's a guest star in most of his shows. But he's got a real CoCo 3 system, quite a nice one, as you can see here. He's got the deluxe joystick with both buttons for the CoCo 3, a dual button Tandy Deluxe mouse. He's got the old CCR, that's the 81, I think, cassette recorder. And he's got a dual floppy drive system hooked up to it too. And in this case, he plays RoboCop, and he actually gets up to the 2nd level. RoboCop's kind of a mixed bag for me. It's definitely a lot better than Predator, but then almost everything's a lot better than Predator, except for maybe Boris the Bold. But this one here, I mean, he's got very, like Greg Zumwalt, who programmed it, he's got some very primitive background music. It is background music, but it's a single low tone repeating pattern. So it kind of gets dull pretty fast. It's running in a lower graphics mode, 160 by 192, 16 color. But it does have a lot of levels, and this is one of those expanded carts that actually has a built-in MMU in the cartridge itself. So this actually is 128K of ROM. And it's got quite a few levels in it, and there's enough detailed graphics stuff. It's actually a fun game once you get into it, but it's not, competitive with, say, the Amiga version or something like that.
So if you look up Greg Zumwalt's article about the Supercart in Rainbow, it talks quite a bit about there was compression used for the data that was stored in the ROM. So overall, this is about, I think he said somewhere around 320K of data squished into the 128K ROM. It's actually a very cool article. So
yeah, he did Predator that way too. And Predator does have a lot of levels. If you can stand the game long enough to play that far, there's a lot to go through. Like it's bigger maps than a RoboCop. And there's 1 or 2 players I know that actually don't mind Predator. They're actually quite good at it, and they can get up to like level 10 on a single playthrough. I can't do that without pokes.
They must be fans of the NES version or Game Boy version or whatever.
Yeah. By the way, I'll play a little bit here just in case you haven't seen it. Like if you're a Coco 1 and 2 user, you may never have seen it. It's one of the few licensed titles that Tandy sold. So
What's up, guys? Buzzsaw Gaben here. Showing you RoboCop. Oh, there it goes.
and it talked without a
got
spouse
Mr.
feedback.
Buzzsaw over there in the corner hanging out with his hat. This is RoboCop version 1 on the Color Computer 3. Now, you know RoboCop, also the original packaging for RoboCop, as well as the manual right there. It's got the Radio Shack sticker on it, $34.95. It's a fun game. But yeah, this game is pretty easy in the beginning, but later on, especially the second stage, gets really, really difficult.
Yeah, I won't play a whole ton of it there, but for those of you who've not seen it before, and I'm trying to remember, have we ever played RoboCop on the challenge? I can't remember if we have. I know we're avoiding Predator like the plague, but
no, we have not, because I think the archive version has too many cheats on it. Like it's one of those ones you can set yourself to have 99 men and.
Oh, okay. That would make it a bit difficult for the challenge. I didn't realize that was the only copy on there. I'll have to see. I did have a crack version before. You required a 512K Coco to run. That didn't have all that stuff on. I don't know if I still have that or not. I'll hunt down. See if I can find it. He does a very thorough review. He gets through most of level 2. There's a part where you're on the screen here. You got this little blinking mask thing if you get into a room that has hidden objects in it. And I don't think he quite understood what that meant, because he's at one where you have to go punch a hole through a wall to get to the final boss in level 2, because basically he'd solved the rest of it, but he didn't quite get there. Next up, Elimist YouTube channel we covered last week, because he's been doing speed runs on text adventure games, which I didn't even know was a thing until recently. And he does it on all the platforms you can find, a copy of the game for. And he's been going through a lot of the Scott Adams Adventure International stuff here. So we covered some of that before. And in this case here, he's covering Voodoo Castle. And in this particular case, he discovered that there was Coco and Exidy Sorcerer versions of this particular game, which he did not know of before. So we actually redid the video and added the Coco stuff into it. And then basically just goes and blasts through typing as fast as he can to see how fast he can get it done. I'll just show a little bit here from the Coco version itself. Now, I did notice he's running a slightly later version of the actual game itself. Somebody patched it to run in true lowercase if you have a Coco 3 or a Coco 2B. He always picks it, not to do it that way. So it's all uppercase like the original version was, but you can see you're just blistering through. He's basically figured out how to solve it, and he's saying, how fast can I type all these commands without, screwing up the typing and get through the game.
Right.
And then he did a second one that he released this week. And this time he knew the Coco version was available ahead of time, so it got built into the main video. And this is Pirate Adventure. Now, I will want to mention one thing. I can't remember what he's named himself on Discord, but he actually did join Discord this week, and I think he got approved on Friday. So he is actually in our Discord. So if anybody has any questions for him, or if he has any questions for any of us, if he's watching this, then feel free to hit us up on the Discord.
Hey, Moon Crew, what's going on? Today we are playing the TRS-80 Coco version of Pirate Adventure. This one was...
That's another Scott Adams game, too. So he's going to be going through all the Scott Adams adventures. And I think on the Coco there was 12 of the regular ones. There was the Probe series, which I think we only got the first one, which is the Incredible Hulk, which is kind of a Marvel tie-in. And there was another series, I think there's 1 or 2 that were on the Coco, so he's got about 14 or 15 to go through to get through the entire Scott Adams set. Next up, Retro Gaming Loft on YouTube. I decided to do a long play video of Paul Bergen, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. 60, correct me if I'm wrong, or at least tell me which one it is. A version of Shanghai that he wrote for the Dragon. This is a P-Mode 4, no color, so it's meant to be black and white. September 1991, kind of reminds you of running it on a Mac or something. So it's a 256 by 192 monochrome with pretty good looking graphics. And unlike the official Shanghai cartridge that Rick Adams did for the Coco 3, this one actually has different tile layouts. Like the CoCo version has different preset layouts, but the same mapping of the tiles on the screen. Like it looks exactly the same. It just switches which tiles are, you know, underneath which other ones. This one actually has much more modern Shanghai or Mahjong games, has the completely different lens of how the tiles are laid on the screen type thing. And I don't know how many there are. He only showed 2 in this particular video. But and also I should mention, if you recognize his name, then you're probably an old-time user of emulators for the Dragon, because he's the one who wrote the very first Dragon emulator that I recall. And 60 can correct me if I'm wrong there too. But you know, he's the one who started the whole Dragon emulation scene, and then eventually, of course, 60 himself did, you know, XWAR. And this requires 64K, so it's basically a Dragon 64 game. As you can see here, if you have it on a nice clean monitor that, or if you know, ran it on a RGB enhanced version of a Dragon or even a CoCo, if it's been patched for the key commands and stuff here, it actually looks pretty good. And the tiles are very similar to the ones that Rick did, just lacking the color. So I'm going to fast forward to show you what I mean by different tile sets. So here's the second one. You notice the layout's completely different. Whereas it's kind of a pyramid shape roughly on the main one, and the one that the CoCo 3 version, the official version from Activision, does. This actually has multiple tile sets. Actually, you might have a third one in here. Or maybe not. I think you just finished the second level. Hey, it's a pretty good version. I kind of forgot this one existed. I had seen it quite a few years ago, and then I haven't really seen it since. So it's kind of slipped my mind. It's not on my site yet, obviously. But definitely want to pick up if you have Dragon 64. I'm assuming it'll work with the Tano Dragon too, though I haven't tried it, obviously, because I don't have one. Worthwhile giving it a shot if you like this type of puzzle game. Next up, Expert Tech, Spanish YouTube channel, did 2 more CoCo games on real CoCo 2 hardware on his real Amber screen. The first one he did is Clowns and Blues by Steve Bjork, one of his earlier efforts. And I think we've both seen that one enough times. I won't play that one. And then the other one he did is Buzzard Bait. And I don't know where this screen graphic came from, because that's obviously not Buzzard Bait in the slightest. I can hear the familiar button of a Tandy joystick there. The old Black Beauties. It's been kind of fun watching him try to play some of these on the Amber monitor, because when he tries to play stuff that, you know, the red and blue is actually kind of critical, like say chess or checkers or something like that, and you can't tell what piece belongs to who, it gets a bit difficult.
This is very familiar, because I had an Amdec Amber monitor for a while, and I would have to kind of ship all of my stuff to a different room to see color. So I tried to do this, and no.
Yeah, I remember my friend Dwayne, who's been on Game On Challenge before. He had a black and white TV on his CoCo 1, and when he was playing chess, he actually had one of those electronic Tandy chessboards, the separate thing. And he didn't use the actual electronic part, but he would just place all the chess pieces duplicating on the screen. And every time he or the computer moved, he had to move the real chess pieces to keep track which was black, which was white.
So he had something to look at he could understand. I like it.
Yeah. Next up, ZX Frankie did a Dragon 32 play video of Alcatraz 2. Alcatraz 2 is an early Spectral Associates game, written extended basic by Mike Huey, who later on learned a lot of machine language and then did some classics on the CoCo, including Grabber and Draconian. But this is one of his earlier efforts. He did a couple other basic games that were sold too, but he's one of the very few people I've actually seen who's gotten off the first screen. And for those of you not played Alcatraz 2 before, you're the green character on the far left in this case, and those yellow lines are basically doors, and you can't open the doors. But the guards, which are the yellow characters, you can lead them. Like if they can get direct line of sight on you, they'll start chasing after you. And by chasing, I mean crawling along slowly. But they'll actually open the doors as they go under. And you basically have to maneuver them around to unlock the doors enough that you can get to the exit on the far right. There's a few other complications. You'll get a bit of an audible warning that some lasers are about to fire off, and they'll either fire vertically between each of the red blocks, or they'll fire horizontally between the red blocks. And if you're standing in the way when those goes off, you get killed. But he's one of the very few people I've seen that actually succeeded in getting off a level. So I thought I'd show that you can see what the big payback is, and I'm being sarcastic. So here he's kind of hiding in here. Hopefully nobody will come get him. Oh, that's a bit more. There he got killed. Did I miss where he went? Oh, that. Sorry, I did. So he's managed to navigate the guards to unlock all the doors. Now this guard's going to see him, but he's close enough to exit. He's actually going to make it. Wasn't that worth it, folks? For us to have played this game for hours and hours and never escaped once. Actually, the game was a bit faster. It probably wouldn't be too bad, but. Next up after that, we have Gentleman's Pixel Club. And this is a tutorial, actually. He has been playing Jet Set Willie on his Mister, which is, of course, kind of a, I don't know what you call it, a hardware emulation program. Not quite, but virtual machine, I guess. And basically, he was having a question for some of his ears, so trying to get the Dragon 32 version of Jet Set Willie running on the Mister. So this is actually a little 4.5-minute tutorial video on how to get it installed, how to get the ROMs for the Dragon onto the Mister, how to get it fired up, how to load the tape, how to execute the program type thing for people that have no familiar with the Dragon or the Mister at all. And it's kind of nice that he did this, because it's a nice go-to point for people that just want to get it set up and aren't that familiar with it. And I know in the Amigos case, a lot of their viewers actually have Misters, and they use that to play all the variety of games from obscure 8 and 16-bit systems from Russia or something like that. There's a whole ton of these. It's kind of like MAME. Like there's hundreds and hundreds of machines being emulated / virtualized. And this video tutorial actually kind of teaches you how to get the Dragon 32 specifically up and running. Next up that, Chronological Gaming is still hammering away at November 1982. He's getting closer because he's doing all the cleanup ones in alphabetical order, and he's now on the T's here, and he's actually a little bit past that, I think, on the actual show. But he covered 2 Coco games from November of 1982 release dates. The first one is Tube Frenzy by Dave Edson, and that was sold through Aardvark, and I think we have played this one on the Game On Challenge. It's kind of a unique puzzle arcade game, which actually reminds me a bit of Neutroid, to be honest. I think we discussed that, Nick, when
yeah,
because basically you're not controlling the yellow ball, which you're moving around to get these blinking squares. You're changing these diagonal walls. You flip them 180 degrees or 90 degrees, I guess, so you can redirect the ball. But you're also redirecting the enemies coming after you at the same time, which makes it a bit of a challenge.
One of the slashes.
So the squares that are blinking yellow, red, blue.
It reminds me of another game we
played. That's the thing you're trying to cause the ball to run over to capture.
All the way around,
and you've got some blocked walls. You've got one-way walls
squares
that they can only go through vertically or only go through horizontally.
Because it's blending lots of things.
And on later levels, you've got
when the game was talking
more
about
monster stuff to care.
In the option menu, that red.
And one nice thing about this, like if you have your ball traveling and you have to have it say travel across half the screen, the opposite joystick you're using to click on actually controls the speed of the game with the potentiometer. So you can actually shift this game between 63 different speeds, basically. And if you know you want to travel all the way and you want to wait the 15 seconds for it to do it at a nice low speed, you can just move the joystick. And then it just speeds right the heck up and it zips through, and then you can slow it right back down again. So you control the whole time aspect of the game yourself. That's how fast you want to play on the fly in real time, which is a pretty unique thing. I don't see too many games even now, I don't think. I know you fiddled with that a little bit later on. We still remember
and then go there. I don't know if we can get out of this spot in the bottom.
Yeah, they're speeding
it
up.
Won't let me. There, we'll go that way, and then go that way, and then go here. And I guess we can have to make our way around the other side.
Anyway, if you're into puzzle style games with a bit of an arcade flavor, it's actually a really good original game. And the next one he did was from November 82 is a little game by Andrew Pekurski. Now, you may recognize his name because he wrote dozens of games and programs for Chromaset, for T&D Magazine, couple for Color Computer News, which is including this one. He was very prolific. He was cranking out literally like a game a month in machine language. So he's kind of the Jim Gary of his time. And this one here was called Tumbler or Tumblers, depending on whether you're reading the title screen or the title of the article. And it was a type-in, and it was basically a whole whack load of data statements, which we're kind of familiar with, including the Space Hawk game that's now part of the next game on challenge here. So the November 82 issue of Color Computer News, this is when they had basically almost newsprint, not quite that thin, but it was, you know, pretty crappy paper in the middle. And the cover was glossy, but just fairly simple design like you see here. Within a couple months of this, they were using photographs with full color and stuff. And they started improving the quality of the typesetting and everything else too. And then if you've watched our interview with Bill Sias, who actually ran the magazine, you can hear the whole story as to why they shut down rather suddenly all of their publications, because they did more than just Color Computer News. But this was actually my favorite magazine in the earliest years because it was more technical than Rainbow. Rainbow was more for beginners and intermediate people with a few technical articles. Color Computer News was the opposite. There's a lot of technical machine language, hacking hardware, that kind of stuff. And then they'd have occasionally, you know, cover a game or review a game or something like that. So they were definitely more for the tech diehards oriented that way. So, but Andrew, you know, he did a machine language game here that you just typed in. And basically, it's the analog joystick. And you've got speed levels you can set, kind of like Tube Frenzy, except it's not in real time. It'll gradually speed up. And you have all these little spinning things that almost look like the little characters from the Game of Life, Conway's Game of Life. And basically, you have to move the analog joystick, your little ball, and not get hit. And if you start on a low level, it's quite simple looking.
On the Coco with tumblers.
And I had to patch this one, by the way, because there was a mistake in the code in the magazine. So when I typed it in, filling it out for my website, it actually didn't work properly, crashed. So I had to go fix it.
Blurs, and there you can see the title says that. Dodge. Just make sure.
So you're the blue ball crosshair, and you notice it's moving kind of choppy. Now, when you set the speed, like when you get prompted what speed you want to run at, it slows everything down, not just the enemies. Like the whole game slows down. It gets smoother if you play it faster. And then gradually it'll start adding more of these tumblers, and you just have to dodge them. And once you get hit, you're dead. Like here,
so
see, it's
he's
getting a bit more.
He's weaponized the game of life.
Welcome in.
Yeah, kind of.
At a 1-to-1 ratio with the Y position of the joystick is why you can't.
And the explosion routine's actually done in BASIC. That's one of the few parts that is, and the score is done in BASIC.
Now, this game in the original listing, when you actually spent the time to type this in, had a
skip him talking about the bug.
Curtis Boyle, who's in the chat when we play this one. Oh my
there,
gosh.
that's the fastest level. Did you see that?
100 is impossible. Guys, when you played the game, there would be a freezing bug, but we are not going to freeze when we play this one. Oh my
oh,
gosh.
jeez.
100 is impossible. That is hilarious.
So we did 50 a little bit later on, and now the speeds, the whole game is a bit smoother and stuff.
Because we're able to play a better version now, it's it's all right for the game.
And it gradually adds more and more on, so it gets more complicated. But
of all the games,
it's pretty customizable speed-wise. So if you're a beginner or you're old like us and our reflexes are going down, you can pick a slower speed.
Yes, anyone could be challenged.
Not bad for a magazine type in this early on.
Yeah,
there weren't too many machine language games you could type in at this time.
But I understand the concept. It just feels limited.
Next up, we have Erico Montero. He's doing another 10-liner basic program with Microgames Basic to enter that contest that's going on, hosted in Germany, I believe. We showed one of his last time that he's doing the one where you had the rising tide. You had to try to gather the treasures up before the tide rises up and either kills you or blocks you from getting from the last treasures. This one here is actually complete text-based, but it's kind of like Sabotage or some of the shooter games we were talking about recently when we had George Phillips on for his game Blitz. And basically, what this little 10-liner does here is that you're this firing base here, and you've got these little random buildings of different types, which are basically just text characters. And you can't move your gun, but you time your shots shooting diagonally at a 45-degree angle to hit all the ships coming by at varying speeds. And, for a 10-liner basic program, that's perfectly acceptable, I think. And I think, if I remember correctly, too, this is not one of the ones where you're doing... Oh, wait, he just corrected me. I guess this one is DIS Basic. This is not UG Basic. My apologies. And I think this one was also not the Extreme 256 entry. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that, Erica, but I believe it's like the 120 character per line maximum version of the contest. So he's doing multiple games for the contest. I'm kind of going to curious to see how the CoCo fares overall. I know Jim Gary's doing a few too, so there's be some MC10 entries as well. Next up, after that, Perserveres has released 2 more AGD-based game packs. The first one is AGD 66, which has 4 quite new games. And of course, this is using the Spectrum's AGD engine to write arcade games. And this converted 4 of the latest ones from 2024 and even one from 2025. So now we're just about caught up with the Spectrum themselves. And pack number 66, this will play on all Dragons and CoCos. And there's versions of it with short or long file names if you want to play it in emulator, if you want to play it on real hardware for both the Dragon and the CoCo. And these are available on the World of Dragon forums on their website, all free. So the 4 games that he's added this time is Enter the Parallel, Mr. Hare and Kitty Catacombs, Tiger version, Lunar Patrol, which actually is a clone of Moon Patrol by the looks of it. So Coco Town has some competition, I guess. And Retro Robins and Micro Blitz. And he's got screenshots here. And I've noticed on these later versions here, or not later versions, but later released ones, that even the people doing the designing on the AGD engine on the Spectrum itself seem to be getting a bit fancier.
Are we
Patrol.
losing Curtis?
Yeah, I think we are.
Sounds like it.
Oh, what happened?
I think you dropped the 300 baud.
Yeah, I just got a warning. Your internet connection is unstable.
Well, no kidding, Sherlock.
I'm getting you guys fine, so must be my upstream.
Yep.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Good.
So it has beginner course. I'm assuming it has the advanced course too, just like the arcade game. I don't know if it scrolls because they'll see screenshots. So I guess it is. It is slightly different. So it must be doing the scrolling as well. And then there's parallel here. And Retro Robins Micro Blitz, which is a couple skill levels by the looks of it. This looks more like a traditional AGD style game. So you can get that pack if you just have a regular Dragon or a regular CoCo. But if you have the Super Sprite FM Plus board, he's also released pack number 12 for that with another 4 games. And he's got Dan Terrific 2, Funky Fungus Reloaded World 3, Kid Cadet 3 version 2, and Sophia.
There you go again.
There he goes.
Tell your cat to stop chewing on the cables.
You're first too, so.
Getting part
Forgot to pay his tariffs.
I suppose. Is the new summary uploaded? Mark's not here to read it. What do we do?
Hang on.
Trina.
What happened?
In the chat, Trina. About
Even the internet is falling. That's great. I love it. Oh, give me a second. Let me find the news and whatnot.
It didn't make it to Discord, so I don't know.
What's that? It did or did not?
It did not.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, we lost them all together now.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's take a commercial break and
see if anyone comes back.
Yep.
Closing credits.
Hi, I'm Terry Steggy from Retro Tech Time and the Tandy Shack, and you're watching the CoCoNation, the world's first live and interactive talk show featuring the Tandy color computer and its hardware cousins.
From the makers of the Switcheroo. Wallaby Cable, Color Computer 3 Dual RGB Cable. Get yours today at cocoman.biz.
A whole new approach. Faster than ever. A window to a world of possibilities. Clear your expectations. Clear your hesitation. Just hit clear.
Download EOU today at lcurtisboyle.com.
Okay, we are back, and Curtis has fed the squirrels.
Yeah, I hope I fed enough of them. But yeah, even my router went into the orange blinking. You've lost your internet completely mode. So that was something external to me. Might be all that snow we got dumped on us today. I'm not sure.
Could be.
All right, so back to the MSX Enhanced game pack that Perserveres put out. Pack number 4. So we covered the 4 games. Here's some screenshots, of course, using MSX hardware. That gives you multicolor, tiles and stuff like that. It gives you hardware sprites. It gives you, multi-voice sound. So these will look a lot improved over the original black and white HD versions here, as you can see. And this is the same chipset, I think, that was used on the TI-99 and the ColecoVision, if I remember correctly, for the graphics. No?
I think it's a later one.
The ColecoVision chip is an ancestor of
that's
the
right.
version that was in the MSX.
But these definitely look a lot more colorful than some of the original ones. I remember seeing some of these before when we announced the original black and white versions. Because the Spectrum has the exact same screen resolution as the Coco 1 and 2 and the Dragon 256 by 192, but they actually have multicolors.
Yeah, and the point of this pack is that he's updated the palette so that it actually looks a lot closer to the MSX ones than the first release that he did of the colorized.
Okay.
So this is getting real close to the real deal from the way it looks. So that's what the NP is new palette.
Okay, I didn't realize that. I guess I didn't read it close enough. And yes, Trina, I stopped talking and the internet woke back up again, so it'll be shutting down shortly.
And, if you don't have a super sprite, don't feel like trying to set yourself on fire building one, use MAME. It has an emulation for the super sprite board.
Yeah. I know John Whitworth, I don't think he's really planning on making any more. He did have one last batch and he kind of sold out of that. I don't know if he's talking to anybody about possibly producing them.
Rumors that there are some redesign things going on that may make a new batch available using newer bits.
More available bits?
More available bits, yes.
Oh, cool.
So
that would be awesome.
There may be a redesign in the works rather than a retire.
Nice.
That'd be good because now that we've got a fair number of games here on these packs, I think he's up to like 50 to 60 games already here.
Might as well build the hardware.
Oh, you just read Trina's comment?
Yeah, Trina's amazing.
I'm just here to chew gum and heckle, and I'm all out of gum. I thought you'd be out of patience by now instead. Okay, next up after that, Jim Jewett just couldn't help himself and did even more modifications to his expanded basic Space War game, adding 3 difficulty levels, and he kind of gives a little bit of explanation of what the different difficulty levels, how it affects the game. But the version that you want to download, version 1 here, is now available on the Facebook Coco group in the files section. So you can go download that one for free. Next up, Jeffrey Duncan actually I got the, we've talked about these before because they're early multimedia. And these are educational games that Tandy put out for the TRS-80 CoCo 1. So this is even before the CoCo 2 came out. In this case here, we're seeing Walt Disney's Space Probe Math. And they were multimedia in the fact that you would load a program in, which then would draw graphics and do various things, but it also then would turn the cassette motor on and off and the audio on to actually have it speak to you. So you would be able to actually have actual human voice with full fidelity coming through, well, as much fidelity as a mono cassette recorder does, coming at you while you're playing the game. And with well-timed stuff, it actually worked pretty well. And there's been several series of these games we covered before. There's some that are hardcore educational stuff, like learning Spanish and stuff like that. I'm trying to remember, is it Michael Pitsley that does the YouTube channel that has a ton of these? But this is a different guy who's doing it now on this particular one. And he's got some nice screenshots. He's also got a little bit of the gameplay itself, which I'll play a little bit of for those not familiar with these multimedia stuff from like 82, 83. Nice cover on this. So this was actually well packaged. Custom design for Radio Shack TRS-80 color computer.
Based on the movie The Black Hole.
Oh, yeah.
So
Erupting. Everybody works feverishly to get the amino plastic in place to save the crops.
That's just a little, like it's showing on the screen here for those that are on the audio listening. There's a volcano blowing up, and it says, as the volcano begins erupting, everybody works feverishly to save the crops, which is what the audio prompting just told you too. So kind of a narrator of the story type thing. So those are always fascinating. And now we've got some emulators that can handle the mixed formats where you can have a tape file that has data files for the actual basic programs plus the audio file, embedded in it. So that these types of programs actually work is just awesome. Next up, Mastertronic Collector's Archive, which I believe is actually run by Neil of RMC Cave in the UK. He bought the rights to a software company that was called Mastertronic, which frankly didn't do really great games back in the day. So it's kind of an in-joke, but he's actually planning on publishing new games that people want to write for any retro computer, and he'll package and help sell it. And basically you just have to submit the game to him. So if Nick ever gets lazy and doesn't want to maintain his own website, there you go.
It was a budget title line.
Yeah, it was. Anyway, they're reviewing one of the ones that actually they sold, which is a Dragon 32 game called Castle Adventure, originally written by C. Jacobson in 1983 under the title of Virgin Games. And it got a 4 out of 10, just rave reviews on that one there. I would like to see these guys, review Boris the Bold. They have screenshots, and it kind of explains the game's not totally bad, but it's not great. And there's lots of illogical puzzles, and that was always the bane, or trying to figure out the keywords if they didn't give you a list of the keywords. The fun of the adventure is not trying to guess the keywords, it's trying to figure out the puzzles. So I would rather just, here's your commands, go.
You were ingurgitated by something?
So the opposite of out, in?
I guess.
I guess you were just ate by something?
Right? What a British way to do things.
Oh, they're right there.
You were ingurgitated by the monstrous, greasy, pulsating, hungry white blob.
That almost sounds pornographic at that point.
That's where you're going.
Hey, if you want to read a scathing review, actually, it's not too bad, but. And next up, Sibling Rivalry episode 172, which they forgot to title in the title of the video itself, is actually about a game written by a certain Australian who's, I think, still awake on the panel.
Oh, what was that? Yeah, I'm awake.
And this might have been a pre-recorded one from earlier, because why is she in AJ and Christmas stuff?
Friday, everybody! You know what that means? It's time for sibling rivalry!
Oh, I knew that.
And time for some drinks. Grab your cocktail.
So any critique?
Good information. No.
Nick?
Well, I entered a comment. I did watch it. My complaint is that they, again, did not read the manual, even though they said they did. And I was wondering, some of the comments they made, they said the instructions seemed very technical. Talked a lot about the programming. And I'm scratching my head wondering, where the heck is that in the instructions? And then I realized they didn't read the instructions. They read the web page, which is for the sales web page that I've got, not the actual instructions that the game came with, which, and hence they didn't read the instructions. Again,
Well, they read some instructions. That's an improvement.
I had a Well,
Just not the right ones.
No, it's whatever was on the web page, but the web page doesn't have the instructions. It's just a general promotional page. Because the web page, I spent a fair bit of time putting the proper instructions together. It's got pictures, it describes everything, and yeah. In summary, I think it's a waste of time me putting instructions together sometimes.
Hey, I read them.
Hey,
I read them
dramatically, even.
Well, yeah, okay. Yeah. Other than that, yeah, it was all right.
I mean, they did better this time because I mean, like when they covered some of the other games, they weren't able to get too far. This way, like Tim actually got to rescue all the Joeys. Like he's gone through all three of the screens and
it's a
shows how the
Frogger
game's
game, so I mean you've got the basic gist. But like this screen you're looking at now, they didn't know what those things were. They go across
yeah, they called them cars, didn't they?
Yeah, they're not cars. The instruction says it's a cattle yard. They're cows and sheep. But anyway.
Yeah, same thing, just 100 years apart, right?
That's right.
Right.
Anyway, it's done with their usual humor. Spoiler alert, Tim wins this one.
Well, the important thing to note is it's not really a review page. It's really as it says, it's sibling rivalry. Two people playing, competing. So really, it's not really their fault. They're just bashing each other.
Whilst drinking custom drinks. So
that's right. Yeah. So maybe they need to play the game and then start drinking afterwards. But anyway, it's
it's a good time, and they're not meant to be a serious review site. So.
It's a fun site. Yeah, that's right. It's not really a review site as such.
Okay, so that's the last of the gaming news. Now I'll switch back to the regular. Okay, so first up, CoCoTown returns with a detailed explanation of how he got the real-time overlay showing the PMAP data. Like if you remember his last video we released last week, he was showing how he wrote a Lewis script in MAME so that it actually could dump every single process that's running active on the Nitrous 9 system in MAME and dump the memory map of what blocks each process has. So this one is kind of an exploration into how he got that Lewis script to work and interpret the memory within MAME itself in the emulated to make CoCo 3. Which is actually a pretty cool thing itself. Now, as usual, I'll play a bit of his intro. But this is definitely a more technical one. So if you're not technical, maybe, grab a pillow before you listen to it.
Hello and welcome. I used Visual Studio Code to edit a Lua script, which runs inside MAME, while it is emulating a CoCo 3 that runs Nitrous 9. Logo bingo!
That runs logo.
In a previous video, we peered under the hood of Nitrous 9 with the aid of a Lua script that shows the processes that are running and their memory maps. Today, we peer under the hood of the very tool that enabled us to peer under the hood of Nitrous 9. We will go over how that Lua script works. If you don't know much about Lua scripting within MAME, I'd recommend you learn about that first. Hey, I did a video on that. You could just check that video out now, and I'll wait for you here. Today we're going to learn about the 35-year-old...
I've got to get a general gist of what it's going about. But for those who want to actually use MAME as a really good debugging tool, the fact that the Lewis scripts have access to all this stuff under the hood of MAME itself within the emulated machines, that means I think you could write a bunch of utilities that would really help in debugging even beyond the built-in debugger. Because the built-in debugger gets a bit complicated, especially when you're doing MMU blocks. Like, I'm trying to catch something in task map 2 and I'm in task map 1 at the current time that I stop the debugger. And, how do you explore that? And you can actually write Lewis scripts that will cover a lot of that stuff. So, oh, by the way, Nick, I just want to mention that Karen in the chat says, I mean, you do kind of have to read the instructions to know that they're cattle and sheep, though. So he's saying that your shapes drawn are not quite self-evident enough.
They be graphics, man.
Next up, Tuesday, Retro Programming did kind of a follow-up on the video he did last week. of his asteroids game in basic, but he's hitting something a bit weird. Now, I haven't had a chance to fully go through here. I'm sure it's an error because I don't remember hitting this problem with draw statements myself. But he mentions when he goes and blows up, he draws a little explosion, looks like almost like an asterisk or something. And then he immediately, like using draw statements, and then he immediately redraws it in black, but it's not erasing the whole thing. Like it's somehow missing some of the lines. I'm sure it's just a minor bug somewhere. I know a few people have answered there for some things for him to check, and I'll have to see later if he actually got anywhere on it. But
and it's some kind of a corruption.
you can see like a few here were left over. So when he shoots his asteroid
because I
again,
isolated every single possible other.
He's not running the speed up
explanation, and
but you can see like it left some garbage behind. Now, I think what I think is happening is I think he's the last part of his draw statement for drawing that explosion shape. He basically returns to the center point and then draws out diagonally for each part of the explosion. On the last one, I don't think he goes back to the middle. So I think it's shifting the start point by a few pixels. And I think that's what's going on, but I'm not positive. But if you want to interact, he's actually got some comments going back and forth here, trying to figure out what's going on. So next after that, we've actually got some pretty interesting stuff from Eddie Malfris. Let me just kill that. He's been he's one of the guys that'll actually probably be at VCF Southwest actually in Texas. But he's been getting a lot of original documentation from some of the engineers and some of the old people from Tandy. And one of the things he got here is a bill of materials. The original bill of materials for the original Tier City Color Computer 1. This came from Jerry Heap. And you can see like some of them even have cost estimates, external ones here, and the internal costs. Most of that stuff's blank, but you can see like every piece that was used to make a model, a CoCo 1 on the original release here. So the computer board assembly, and then the keyboard, which comes from Gelco, and an antenna switch box from A&A. And A&A, I'm trying to remember, wasn't that the company that imported stuff from Japan that Tandy kind of owned or bought out at some point?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the one.
Yeah, and here you actually see they have cost estimates. So the antenna switch box, 63 cents cost to Tandy. Switch box cable was $1.30, etc. And he goes through the entire list here, including some of the chips. And here you're seeing a lot more of the external costs. 6809E was like $11. PIA was $2. The VDG was $4. And this is probably related to the age of some of these chips because the VDG at this point was already several years old, but the CPU was pretty new and also a lot more complicated. And some of the other ICs, etc., transistors.
515 for a SAM chip? That was cheap.
Damn, that was $1981.
Well, right, but compared to the other things, like,
And that was a custom chip for Tandy.
A ROM was $12.
Yeah.
So the SAM at 515, they must have had a deal from someone.
Yeah, so the ROMs were pretty pricey.
Yeah,
I bet you that's Microsoft licensing.
Yeah, the licensing.
Oh yeah, that probably fees. Yes. The whole circuit board, $20.
Yeah. Then you get some stuff that's crossed out, so I don't know if they modified it to change, or they changed the board design. Maybe later on they didn't need everything.
Right.
Unfortunately, this particular one's not dated, so I don't know when in the CoCo one's life this is out. Cost 0.007, so less than a cent for some of the resistors. That's an interesting piece of history. I actually see what all the original part list was, and also what the cost of quite a bit of it was.
Yeah, so it cost maybe $50 in parts. 75.
Probably, I'd say the higher. Just judging some of the chips were over 10, and the
right. The motherboard was 20, or the board was 20.
Board's 20, and
Yeah.
I mean, they really cut it down by the time the CoCo 2 came out, obviously, when they cut it parts down drastically. Like here, the cover for the case is $4.03. The base of the case is $3.94. The cartridge guide is 44 cents. The cartridge door was 10 cents. I'm guessing that includes the spring.
And then you got the foam and the overpack.
Yep. Plastic feet.
Someone's got to put this bomb together, which means solder and yeah.
And then another thing he did is he actually uploaded the same type of thing and bill of materials for the video text terminal, which actually came out a few months before the CoCo one, but contains a lot of the same parts. And this one does have a date. So this is the revised as of August 24th, 1980. So this would have been just after the CoCo one was announced, because that was July 31st, if I remember.
Oh,
But the
check
video
it
text
out. This is all name brand parts. There ain't no Tandy stuff here. We got Nichicon, Motorola. This
yeah, Greer fastener.
list. Yeah.
I don't see any costs in this one. This is more just a list of what's needed.
It's all top drawer stuff. They weren't messing around at this time. They were buying things.
Yeah, here's the RAM chips and the SAM and the VDG and made something for the cases and stuff.
Brian's got this kit, doesn't he?
And I paid into this. He has the brief description of Videotek's operation, which is kind of like a mini manual on how to do some of the low-level things, like what escape codes do what key sequences give you special keys for the Videotek's ROM firmware. So you see, like shift left will return a square bracket to the left. Shift right will return a square bracket to the right. A break key sends a 0-3. Clear key sends a 1B. The RAM is divided into pages, each containing 512 bytes. They're 0 through 7 for 4K systems, 0 through 1 for 16K systems. Ooh. I do remember there was actually hacked patches and stuff that if you taped over the pins so it wouldn't auto start, you could actually hit reset to get out and then save the pages off so you could actually buffer the text you were getting, because otherwise it just buffered in RAM.
Is it
and you
one
could print it or do whatever.
Is it one the escape character?
Yeah, I never knew down arrow was the control key too.
Yep.
Yeah, this document is on the archive, but I think the one on the archive is a slightly earlier version because it has the message video text x.y. So it was like they had the placeholders in it, and this one is marked 1.0 specifically.
Oh, cool.
So he's got the physical printed thing that was the release. But but that information is out there. I know Tim Lindner used it for one of his projects. So he was doing some emulating of some Videotex things in Maine and some other places.
Yeah. You see here some of the cursor control codes are listed in here too, both the escape-based ones and the control keys.
And it's a subset of the DEC VT52.
Yep. Yep.
There's
and the fact that
protocol described.
Yeah, the original B, not the was it the later one that had streaming B plus or something?
Yeah, I think that one's in the
that's the Vidtex CompuServe
package. Vidtex package has that stuff in it.
Yeah, an S term I think was an OS9 PD one that was released that used the same thing.
Saddest part of my collection. I have the binder for that package and I don't have the software.
But I did want to mention almost all of this is also supported on the deluxe CoCo ROMs on the built-in terminal program. So they kind of carried that forward so it still do video text. I don't think it quite covered everything. It was most. I think they dropped some of the graphics controls like here. And I remember using these on CompuServe.
CompuServe B protocol as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a download protocol. Kind of akin to, X modem, Y modem type thing, whereas the B plus protocol is more along the Z modem line. It even tells you like how it's going to respond when you query what type of a terminal it is. So you kind of know what you're working with if you ran a BBS or CompuServe itself. And it explains how the semi-graphics mode works, which I do remember using back in the day. Which basically just explains how the VDG works for its character mapping.
And the Vidtex package later adds the rest of the video modes. So
yeah. Yeah, it's one thing S-Term did not support because it was meant more for OS9 level 2. So it let you do the CompuServe B+. You get to download stuff from CompuServe from their forum libraries and stuff there, but it didn't do any of the graphics stuff because it wasn't really meant for that. Well, it was term cap compatible.
All I have is the binder. Nice setting sun, though.
Yeah, that standard binder they did for a lot of their stuff.
But then what's inside of it? Dynastar docs. I have no idea how that came to be. But anyway, I wish I had this. It would be interesting.
And this one I forgot to mention in the show notes last week when Mark was reading them, that TRSA Trash Talk was doing their first new episode this year, a couple hours after our show ended. So Trash Talk Live number 42 was last Saturday night. And they didn't do too much discussion on the CoCo, but one cool thing was, if you guys remember, Ken kind of interviewed George Phillips, the author of Blitz, last week as the featured game that was getting done its 2-week run. And he mentioned that he had a twin brother that also does programming on the CoCo and stuff here. And you can actually see them right side by side here. You got George Phillips, who was on our show, and then Peter Phillips, his twin brother, who also wrote some stuff for the CoCo back in the day. And they're both active on the Tier City community in general still to this day as well. And both live not too far from Ken. So if Ken ever wanted to do a group interview with them, he's perfectly set up for it. Might even do some stuff maybe for his channel for the Tier City Model 1-3 stuff, because they're heavily into that stuff too. So. Okay, Henry, you're up. Do you want me to play the intro here, or do you want me to just start playing somewhere and you talk over?
Yeah, throw the intro.
Hi, folks. Welcome to the Break Key. My name's Henry, and today we're getting ready for VFC East and the CoCo classrooms there, putting together the FujiNet
Enough for it to turn up.
PC virtual FujiNet device. Now, this is going to involve some building, and it's going to involve building on 2 platforms. I'm going to build on Windows, and I'm going to build on a Linux environment, specifically Ubuntu Linux. Your mileage may vary depending upon where you're at. If you're in Windows environment, it should be pretty much the same. If you are in a Linux environment, some of the stuff may be different because of the library names in your package manager, but as long as you know the packages and libraries you need, you should be fine. Plus, at the end, there's going to be some bonus points for those of you who don't want to mess with any of that. So stay tuned, stick around, and let's get our FujiNet on with the virtual FujiNet PC device right here on the Break Key.
Okay, I'll fast forward somewhere.
So the cool thing is that FujiNet PC exists not just for the CoCo, but also for the Atari and for the Apple platforms. And it is surprisingly easy if you want to build this from scratch, to build it from scratch. There's a few minor incantations that I go over, at least for the Windows side and for the Ubuntu side. I don't have a Mac, so I didn't build on Mac. But here's the other thing: I found this out this morning after releasing the video last night. Not only do I have the binaries that I built up on my GitHub page, which is linked in the description of the video, but I also found out this morning and added to the video description that there is, just a moment while I find it here, there is a releases tag on the FujiNet firmware GitHub that will get you to binaries that are built for FujiNet PC. And they are built for Ubuntu 22.04, Ubuntu 24.04, macOS 13, macOS 14, and Windows x64. And I am going to see if someone would be so kind as to put the URL that I just put into the Zoom chat onto the chat up on the YouTube thing. But basically, if you go to github.com/FujiNet Wi-Fi/FujiNet firmware/releases, that'll take you to the builds. There is a nightly release there that you'll see that has FujiNet PC. You download that, and that's got all the executables that you're going to need for those platforms.
So basically, to get this running on the emulator, like you go through the whole build process, but basically you need the HDB DOS ROM, and you need the Becker port turned on, which XWOR supports.
Yep.
MAME supports.
Yep.
I don't know if VCC does.
MAME supports it. XWOR supports it. Yeah, I don't know about VCC, but but it's so ridiculously easy to do this if you do it from the command line. And if you want to faff about with doing your ini files and things of that nature, it's not that I mean, your mileage may vary, but like with MAME, for instance, everybody's like, where do I put my ROMs for MAME? Well, if you download the MAME zip file and you unpack that zip file wherever, open up a command window or a PowerShell window in that folder, so that MAME.exe, when you do a dir, you see MAME.exe right there. Make the directory ROMs, put your ROMs into the ROMs directory, and do a /MAME.exe, and then put your /MAME.exe CoCo, and it'll bring up a CoCo. MAME looks in the ROMs directory in the directory you invoke it from.
Okay, so not like a hard-coded path to some fixed drive or
you can make that happen. You can make a MAME.any that it'll look at, and it'll find your ROMs if you tell it in MAME.any. But if you're just doing a raw install, it looks in the directory that you're executing it from.
Okay. But yeah, for those of you who want to fiddle with FujiNet but maybe don't have real hardware or don't have the FujiNet hardware cartridge to use on a real CoCo, this is a good way to get into it and kind of see how it works, kind of learn how it works. Also because, MAME and XOR have great debuggers. If you want to start writing software for FujiNet, you can actually use the high-level debuggers here to, trap conditions, registers, I/O ports, all kinds of stuff here. It makes it a lot easier. So thanks, Henry. I'm imagining this is part of your FujiNet class that you'll be showing at the VCF East. Is kind of going through this?
Yeah, this is part. I did this part and parcel for. Or I did this a lot for the FujiNet for the CoCo classes at VCF East, because we are going to need people are going to need instructions on how to get FujiNet running, how to get the CoCo emulators running, and no, I can have them running within 5 minutes, and that's all that that's all I'm really concerned about.
Yeah, because you covered 4 here. You covered like MAME and XOR installs on Linux, and then you also did MAME and XOR installs on Windows, all within the span of this video, and building them from scratch, like not just downloading a ready-made binary type thing.
Well, I did download the ready-made binaries for the emulators, but I built the binaries for the FujiNet PC device.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Yeah, building MAME takes quite a while, from what I hear.
It takes on the order of hours.
Next up after that,
Henry, you want to talk to me or David Ladd on the Discord later for how to have a MAME for CoCo stuff that doesn't take you hours to build?
We've got that actually, because builds
Okay.
up, because oh shoot, Bill, I can't remember his last name now. The guy that I did the FujiNet thing with on the Tandy Retro show.
William Athing?
Yeah, Bill Athing. Yeah. He has some scripts, and if all we got to do is go back to those and find them. So I don't need to put those up there. That's already there. That's not an issue. Yeah.
Okay, next up, and this was actually on the BitListserv CoCo from Juan Castro. He's been posting some more updates that he's been doing in the Microsoft Basics. So he's got these alternate ROMs where he's been fixing bugs and adding enhancements and stuff here for all the CoCos. And you can see this is also running a version of HDB DOS, probably a later version than you're running, Henry. But this is actually shows a screenshot of him using some of the extended. So he's now got 32-bit number support for a variety of commands, including the print and HF for doing hex. You can see here it's actually returning correct values for doing 3 full byte long hex digits and stuff. Even 4 byte, it starts going to exponentation, which I found hilarious. And yet this is the new ampersand binary. So if you want to just type in bit patterns and figure out what the numbers are, it'll actually do that as well. So he's been enhancing quite a few things here. And this is an ongoing project. We covered some of these updates, I think, last week or the week before. He's got quite a few things in there, bug fixes, etc. I think he's doing some optimizations as well. So this is something that once it gets completely done and it's stable, you could literally burn yourself a new ROM and upgrade the ROM in your CoCo to have extra functionality, bug fixes, performance improvements. Because that's something we've been doing a lot in Nitrous 9. Of course, we keep rewriting drivers and languages and all kinds of stuff, runtime libraries, etc. But not much has been done for a stock CoCo. I mean, you can load it in all RAM mode and then do some patches, and those are kind of like all over the place. And one guy did a set of patches over here, and the other guy did an incompatible set of patches, but also really useful stuff over here. And it looks like he's trying to amalgamate everything and then adding his own stuff as well. And I'm looking forward to see what all he's doing with this here too, especially when he starts getting into the CoCo 3 stuff. Next, we got a couple from Alan Huffman. So the first one was actually a historical document from his part. So in 1995, he wrote what he called a life-changing letter. This is when he actually applied for a job at Microware, the people that made OS 9. And he sent it when he was still living in Lufkin, Texas. So this is before he moved to Des Moines, Iowa. And he's got his complete, kind of his experience. He's been using OS 9 Level 2, back from the Coco days, and then he's been using OS 9 68K with stuff like the M1. So he's quite familiar with it. And he actually got hired about a month later, where they told him to call MicroWare and we'll reach you and discuss the technical training position. And he got hired, and he was at MicroWare for years after that. So, and of course, he's one of the guys that helped rescue some of the prototypes and things that Micro was throwing out at one point, including the big Coco 3 board that I think Marlette's got right now. The original prototype board, which is a big honking huge thing with a built-in disk controller. The gimme chip is a whole block of chips instead of a single chip, etc. That was an interesting historical document, like how he applied for the job and how he got his word back a month later to come in for the proper interview. And the other one he said, my early 90s Coco room. And this time he's updated with photos. So Alan's room, like he had this kind of his main computer office, I guess, where all of his different computers were set up, and he had a bunch of stuff that was doing for OS 9 because they were working with CD Interactive stuff and David and a whole bunch of other projects for OSK and OS 9000. And you'll notice his double bed is kind of snuck in here. It kind of reminds me of David Ladd. That's what I expect his room kind of looks like too, myself. Except he usually sleeps on the floor. This is David's bed over here, basically.
Right. The floor space.
Anyway, it goes through all the different things here, but this time he actually threw up some photos here, so you can actually see what it was kind of like working there. So this is his MM1 in a tower. This is his Coco 3, and then there's a whole bunch of other things here. This keyboard here, which has a trackball and a Logitech 3-button trackball, that's the exact same keyboard I had on my TC9 before the trackball died. Now I've just got a generic AT keyboard on it, but I'm quite familiar with that one. And then this is a storage shelf on the other side of the room, just loaded with stuff. And this is his bedroom, by the way. So this reminds me of my bedroom back when then. And he actually found out a picture here showing some of the banners and stuff, and they actually sold the banners program through Subita software to make these. And you'll know some are printed in color. And this is the type of stuff he'd put in the back of his booth at CoCoFEST and Rainbow Fest type thing. And you can even see some of the stuff he had on sale, like mini banners. Regular price was $20, $17 at the fest. Checkbook Plus, 25 down to 22, etc. OS 9 products, BB discs, all kinds of stuff in here. So that was a little bit of interesting history. I remember actually seeing some of these at some of the early CoCoFests when Alan and I used to go at the same ones in Chicago. Next up, we have an announcement from Kieran. And Kieran, if you're bored and want to come on and talk about this in detail, feel free. But he said the SAM x4, which is a little upgrade to the SAM in a CPLD that can handle full double speed, including not screwing up the video. Also adds in an MMU and some other things. So he's got a new SAM by 8 product now. And he's actually made a separate webpage and manual, but he posted the announcement about it on the Dragon forums. An excellent place you should go because they have Coco stuff on there too. It's not just Dragon, so I would definitely hit it up. But to show you what that looks like, there's the PCB render from KiCad and an actual real thing installed. And basically for the audio listeners that can't see what he's describing here, I'll just kind of give you a quick summary of it. So basically this is a SAM by 4 project now that's called the SAM by 8. The update includes a new webpage and manual. You're looking at the webpage here now if you're seeing it. Basically it adds full double speed in the Dragon 64. That's basically Coco 3 speeds. Full 1.78 megahertz RAM and ROM. Support for 16K banked segments out of 512K RAM total. I think the original SAM by 4 only did 2 to 6. And there's a common flag that you can actually tell the top 8K to stay in memory at all times, no matter what you're doing with the rest of the blocks. And that includes the IRQ vector. So it's kind of an expanded version of the vector page RAM we use for OS 9 to switch between tasks. That's only a 256 byte permanently mapped in thing. He's got a whole 8K, so you can actually do a fair bit more with it. Video RAM can be anywhere in the 512K on any 32 byte boundary, which basically allows for vertical smooth scrolling. And he actually mentions at one point that it takes about 5 minutes to smooth scroll through all 512K. And he's actually working on doing some enhancements in the future, too, to actually expand that to be able to offset the horizontal. So you could actually have wraparound horizontal scrolling as well in smooth, all in hardware. And then he's uploaded a manual for it you can download as well. And links, of course, for all this stuff is in the show notes that you can get on the Discord. But he's got a complete PDF manual here, kind of showing how it works, what the different memory addresses do, what's changed. There's some SAM stuff that's not there anymore, but not really needed for this type of thing. And then what the new stuff is for mapping in the different tasks and block pages. Some technical details on the CPU timing for accessing video RAM, etc. This is way above my head or pay grade. He mentions here the CPLD design. He replaced the original SAM by 4, replaced the entire functionality of the SAM with an XC95 5144 XL CPLD. And goes into its physical design, what chips he's using now, etc. And he's talking about doing finer grain pages, like better than 16K chunks. More tasks, because he's got 2 tasks now, kind of like the Co3 does. More RAM beyond 512K. And additional fine-grained video RAM offset of 0 to 31, which is to do the horizontal scrolling type stuff. So looks like a really cool project, and being able to run, CoCo 1 and 2 games at full throttle double speed with the video intact, you could produce some pretty amazing stuff with that. And actually having all the extra RAM, so you put in like digitized sound samples and stuff, and instead of having to limit yourself to 64K would be pretty awesome. Now, Karen can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this only works on the Dragon 64. I don't think this works on the Dragon 32 or even the Tano Dragon. I think currently, as it currently stands, I think it requires the Dragon 64. So hopefully he'll let us know in the chat if I got that right or not. And another one for the Dragon here is an update from Julian Brown. As he mentions here, the last couple of steps went nice and quick. 1 ATX PCB ready to bake. And this is the one where it's going to be basically a Dragon, an expanded Dragon 32 that will work with ATX power supplies and cases. And you can see card slots and stuff in here too that he's got built in. And he's got a sample of here, one of the daughter boards, and this contains the SAM and the CPU. And basically you can swap these out if you want to switch to a 609 base board or a 6309 base board or whatever. And he's also got it set for 256K RAM support, kind of using the enhanced bank switching there as well. And as he mentions here, plans in the pipeline for an upgrade to the Rev 3 to double the RAM again to 512K without going to a whole new FPGA route. So I'll have to wait to see how this works here, because he's ready to fully bake that one previous picture I showed, and we'll see how that goes. But a lot of cool hardware projects going on these days. So thanks to all you hardware wizards, because I would just be lost. And that's it for the news. There wasn't any MC10 news. Jim Gary, you're slacking.
Probably related to spring break.
Yeah, it could be. He works at a university still, doesn't he?
Well, yeah. Sometimes.
Yeah, when he's not doing MC10 stuff.
When he's not doing spring break.
or sleeping. That's about it. Hey, that's it for this week. So,
wow.
And my voice held out. I'm surprised.
So go out and make more news, guys.
Yeah, I got some stuff to build yet.
Where are my glasses?
I know. Shut up, Alan. Finish your game.
Oh. All right, found my glasses.
Ron, the telescopes are following you into the house.
They're fine.
I just saw my internet crapped out again.
Ah, gotta love it.
I'm gonna have to go check maybe some cable connections loose and the
Julian
cats
Brown,
jump on it or something.
Knock pop the shotgun up there and knock the snow off the lines. Yeah.
Julian Brown says expanded Dragon anything doesn't have to be a 32.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh,
See you next week.
Okay. All right. So I guess that's about it. Let's run the close.
60 says, I'm glad you showed the PDF. That's the best bit. I think the hardware is the best bit.
Roll that beautiful green footage.
This concludes another episode of the CoCoNation, the world's leading live interactive talk show featuring the Tandy Color Computer. For all things the CoCoNation, visit us on the web at thecoconation.com. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to show@thecoconation.com. The CoCoNation show would not exist without the community and its cast and crew. The CoCoNation theme song, copyright 2022 D. Bruce Moore, mixed, mastered, and produced by D. Bruce Moore. The CoCoNation is over. Discord server. Coco forever.
Okay. Next week, another rip roaring show.
Yeah. And a reminder, April 5th for the history of ribs and FidoNet BBSing from the Coco with several guests.
Okay.
And no more Boris the Bold, right, Ken?
I've actually decided maybe we'll just play that for a couple more weeks coming up. I'm
Yeah,
gonna redo it in like 2 weeks, maybe.
Yeah, that means I might be able to get maybe over 50.
Maybe we just build some robots to solve Boris the Bold like we did with Timberman.
Well, write it 1,000 times and then pick the best score. Exactly.
Yep.
Okay. Well, till next week.
Yep. See you all next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Till next week.